We're live.
Yay.
Yep.
Hey, Cassandra. Drive safely, honey. Hey, Florida Gray. Hey,
Yes.
Dale.
Good morning.
Me too, Dale. I'm behind on this case too. Like I'm starting from ground zero.
Me too. Me too. Well, I say ground zero. I've looked some, but and I'd like to wait for more people just because I don't know that I can sit here and be on one side or the other. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
talking about if he's
What do you
guilty.
mean?
Hey,
Whether he's
knitting.
guilty or not?
Yeah.
Hey, knitting. Good morning.
But they've said, we'll see. Hey, Stadius. Um, Dale, did I say hi to you? Cassandra, Infidel Lady, Pammy B,
Hey,
good morning.
Hey, Pammy B. Good to see you, honey. Hey, knitting.
Emerald
Hey,
Green, good
Emerald.
morning.
Excuse me.
Winda,
Sweet. I'm so happy to see you. Been wondering about you.
hey Schmatt. Oh man,
Hey, Shabbat. Good to see
I
you,
haven't
honey.
kept up with this
Hey,
one.
Steadiest.
Me too, knitting, and
Hey,
that's why.
Sarah Looney. Sarah Loon. I love it.
Oh no, not the flu.
Dang, I knew it too. That's why I haven't messaged you because I thought I bet she needs to, I bet she's sleeping. Bet she's sleeping. I bet she's not feeling well. Sorry you had the flu, honey.
That sucks. That I can't imagine how bad you feel. Samantha Jean, put the bottle down. I'll do my best. You know me.
Tells me not to be dramatic. Comes in and says that. I love it. Sweet.
I'm
Don't be
healed. You
putting
can
that
send
on
me
the
humans
internet.
again. Woo! Hey, Jennifer Anderson. I almost said Jennifer Aniston. So there's that. Randy put the bottle down. You know what? I may for a long time after the way I felt yesterday.
Some things are not worth it.
Um, that wasn't. No. I gotta find top chat. I mean, live chat. Okay, so. And people were giving me advice, to get some B12. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I did too. And this time change. Did anybody else want to go to bed at 7?
I think I did. Yes. I did. And I had bad sleep all night. I kept getting up. Uh yeah, time change jacks me up every time. Like I guess I'm officially old. That's what happens.
Hey,
Time
Ginger.
change messes me up every time.
Me
It's
too.
only a stupid hour and we gained it. I didn't even lose an hour and I'm still messed up.
That's what I kept saying to Jim. I'm like, I don't understand. We got an extra hour, but I mean, there was at one point of the day. I said, "Guess what time it is?" He said, 4:30. I said, "It's 2 o'clock." That's just two.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's got to be around midnight. It's 7:20. All
Yeah.
right.
And then at 6 o'clock, it was dark out, and
Yes,
I said, it wasn't even dark yesterday at 6 o'clock
I know. Or 7. Like
or
that's the main
7.
thing. You
Yeah,
lose an hour
that's what I meant.
and
Yeah.
it's like 4 hours. It's so bizarre.
What are you
It's very
doing?
and I complain like this every time the time changes, y'all. So get used to old lady Wendy because that's what happens
I
every
complain
time.
too.
Every time.
And I have been that person at work when the time flips back, and you're like,
Now I have to work a whole extra hour.
"Yeah, okay, infidel lady. Hey, Scott." Um, so anyway, but it's time for Christmas trees, and I'm excited because hey, Sarah with the blue dress. I I wanna do my Christmas tree. I can't. I have a picture in my mind. It's gonna be peppermint, all peppermint.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, I think so. I do too. I love this time of year. And my
Sarah
Christmas
Boone
tree
likes
is white.
peppermints.
Yeah,
Sarah
I'm gonna
Boone
put 5 on there. I didn't even think about that.
and Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper ornaments,
Yeah,
some
and
cigarettes. It'd be great.
remember, since we're doing, the trial, we have our new member emojis.
Remember,
What?
oh yes, let me get on my phone.
There's the gavel.
I have to get on my phone because I can't do the member emojis on my laptop.
Oh, there's the bridge. We want justice. There's guilty, innocent, and then here is Richard Allen.
I love the mugshot. That's great.
I thought it turned out pretty well. The bridge is kinda iffy, like, you really can't kinda tell what.
Yes, look at him. Ugh.
Mm.
Yeah. The what? The bridge?
Yeah, the second one that I put up there is the bridge,
I can get
and,
you my gavel too if you want a different gavel.
there was so
Your
many to
justice
pick
one came
from.
out good. So did the guilty one came out.
Yeah. The innocent, it was made like that,
Marilyn
kind of.
Manson. The
I love
problem
him.
is, okay, so the problem is I think we need a not guilty in there too. Or oh, you have innocent, right? You have innocent?
I have innocent, mhm,
Because people are definitely on the fence.
for later.
Some people aren't aren't really that convinced that he's guilty. They're not sure.
Right. Oh, no, you're not sick, are you? The time change has kicked her ass. You're okay, so Shamat is not on the fence. He cannot be guilty and not be innocent. Oh, wait, Wendy got booted. Hey, British Chippy, he's guilty. Hey, y'all. I'm Look, Court TV put something out today. There's 2 Wendy's here. Nope, there it is.
Yeah, something happened. My whole thing just shut down. Um, right. He can be not guilty and still also be not innocent. Yes, he can be. Um, that's why I changed mine to not guilty. I had innocent also on mine, and then I thought, but that's not what the
Mhm.
jury says. But regardless, doesn't matter.
Okay,
Some people
okay.
are on the fence, is what I was saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of riding the fence. And okay, so about this case, Cassandra, it's big in Delphi, Indiana. Um, it 2 little girls, Abby and Libby, they were best friends, and they were just hanging out. I think one spent the night with the other one. They went for a walk, and there's this big bridge in Delphi. Now, what they're saying is you have to kind of be from there to know about the bridge. And they were walking on the
Did they
bridge
did they say why?
because
You
it's
have
kind of hidden.
okay. Okay.
I don't trust the judge, prosecutors, or cop there. I think not guilty. Really knitting. I think I have some of Grizzly True Crime stuff on here. Welcome to the winner's circle, Florida Gray. You're gonna love it here.
British, you got blocked over at Great Hughes? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
don't. Yeah, he's so look. You cannot. I don't think you can disagree with him, and he
British
is
didn't disagree with him. Oh, he knows the families? Wow. They haven't proved the case. That's what I'm hearing, Arizona.
what I'm scared
So
of.
I guess let's get to something.
Yeah,
Tell us,
let's go
Randy.
to the
Tell us what you
playlist.
know.
Well, I've got the playlist that I've made, and I'll let me pull it up, and Will it let me look at my yeah, well, yes.
I tend to
Because
believe Gray has researched this enough to have convincing evidence. Plus, it sounds like the judge is questionable. Um, I called him
I
a
have
drama king. Oh no, you called Gray Hughes a drama king, and out you went. I'm sorry. You can stay here with us.
yeah, stay here. We're not anything close to Gray Hughes, and,
We are not. No, we cannot promise you anything that he
uh-uh,
delivers at all.
and I will
He
not
is a
argue
little
with
bit of a
him.
drama king. No offense, my friend Gray. No offense. We've spoken a couple of times. And
Um,
he is a little bit of a drama king. That's all right. He's doing what he's doing. He is sensitive. Yes.
I
He doesn't
don't
he
like
doesn't like drama.
I I don't like that, he doesn't allow opinions. Randy, you should have gone to this case. It's only 2 hours for me. Well, I didn't know that this case was going on, but here's what, it's not a public case. That's why it's a little bit hard to follow because there's no cameras in the courtroom. So, I'm curious to see what all I have saved, especially about his confessions, because now I disagree. Hey, Sandy. I disagree that he was psychotic when he confessed. I think he was pretending to be psychotic. But what do I
Shamat,
know?
that's what I think too. I think they were so desperate to find somebody. Hey Sandy, good to see you, honey. Hey Tara K, so good to see you, honey. Um, I felt like they were so desperate to find
Mhm.
somebody, and I don't know. I saw the different mugshots. Somebody posted them on a thumbnail recently. The three different mugshots. I, I don't know. Do they look anything alike? I don't know. Do you want to see what I'm talking about?
Mhm. Yeah, I do.
Okay, here. Let me bring it in. This is somebody's thumbnail. I don't even remember whose. Maybe J for Justice. I'm not sure. Uh, but look at. I mean, these two. I guess these. This one looks a little bit like this guy. I guess, but this doesn't look anything like this guy or this guy. And I don't
But
know,
what
I don't know what that means. It's just weird to me. It just, shouldn't they look somewhat similar?
but I don't understand that last picture, the 3rd picture, yeah, that one,
Yeah.
because that doesn't look anything like the bridge guy that we saw in the video years ago.
But this was the official, or this was the first, not mugshot, sketch artist drawing or whatever, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And then this was the second one, the updated
Mhm.
one, I guess, with the hat, which matches, I guess, the bridge guy.
Yeah.
And that does look, that could look like him. I could see that. I don't know. It's just, I want to be
Yeah.
sure, we all want to be sure. So,
Some
what
of
do
the
you got, Randy?
eyewitnesses
Show us
just
what
weren't
you got.
very well, first I have, so this it's long, I can speed it up. We can do the Vinnie Politan Investigates, where he goes through the evidence and all this stuff, he,
Okay. British
we can
said
do
it's his bullet. He put himself on the bridge at that time. Nobody knew about the van. He confessed before the psychosis. And weren't there like branches or covered up with branches or something? And that was something that the police never released, and he knew about that?
he knew about the branches, and he also knew the manner of death, which nobody knew until this trial started.
Okay. Okay. Right, British Chippy. I just want to be sure. That's all. That's all. This is a big, big crime to be
Yeah.
falsely, imprisoned for. Not that
Yes.
any of them aren't big crimes to be falsely imprisoned for, but I just want to be sure.
And see, right there in my mind, when I said he knew things that nobody else knew, how would he know if he wasn't there?
That is true. And if they can really prove that he knew about those things and nobody else, had that information, and there's no other way for him to get that information, if they can
But to
prove
have been
that,
there.
then that takes care of reasonable doubt for me.
So, and why, I know people confess when they haven't done anything, but do they confess 61 times? I don't think they do. But I wish there was some DNA, just,
Yeah,
an
anything.
unshot bullet is there,
Yeah.
but and it's from one of his guns, which I didn't know this because I
But
thought,
how do you know that? How do they know it's from one of his guns?
well, this is what Jim said. I thought if every single gun is different and you shoot a bullet out of your gun, that bullet there's a certain mark on it and they're going to know it belongs to that particular gun. But this bullet was not shot. And Jim said that sometimes, you put them in and maybe it marks them then. Yeah, he's admitted it and now he unadmits it. He is I just made up a word. Feel free to steal it. But now he's fighting, for his life. And then come to find out today, Brian Koberger is trying to not get the death penalty.
Yeah, I saw that. But let's not get distracted.
Yeah, you're right, Randy. Don't. Squirrel.
Well, I did see that too. Yeah, I did see that too.
Oh, Duty Ron
Duty
did a
Ron
live
did a
on the
live.
bullet. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. No, it's okay. I was reading it too. Yeah, he did a live on the bullet. It was brilliant and explains everything. All right. Anyways, I'm sorry. We keep interrupting you. What do you got, girl?
All right. So we can watch the Vinnie Politan Investigates, or we can come back to it and watch the 8 disturbing updates in the Delphi murder trial, which I thought, that'd be pretty good. There's testimony about the bullet right here. And these, look, because it's not televised, it's hard to keep up with, and we'll just do the best we can.
Yes, for sure.
But, it's up. We can definitely play the Vinnie Politan if you want to.
Yeah, let's do that one if that one gives us kind of an overview, and then we'll get specific with the bullet.
Okay. Let me see how I'm...
Investigation is the Delphi murders, a horrific crime in a small town involving 2 young girls who had their throats slashed. Prosecutors say it was a local CBS worker who did it, but the defense...
Well, now we have to remember, their throats were cut. Nobody knew that up until the trial started. Nobody knew how the babies died.
Says it was a ritualistic killing by a group of Odinists. Here's the story.
February 13th, 2017, an unseasonably warm day in the small...
Is that too loud,
No,
y'all?
it's perfect. It's perfect.
Rural town of Delphi, Indiana. It's not a place where you worry when your teenage children decide to go on an adventure. So when Abby Williams and her best friend Libby German decided to go on a hike near the Monon High Bridge in the middle of the day, no one gave it a second thought.
See how back the bridge is? Nobody, like they said, somebody had to be from there to know about it. And if I'm stopping too much and talking, just tell me.
But when the friends didn't show up for their ride home, their families began to worry and they began to search. Then the next day, the unimaginable. The girls' bodies were found, both victims of murder, one child naked and the other dressed in the other child's clothes. Their throats were slashed. 5 years after this brutal double murder, there was an arrest of the accused killer, Richard Allen. Allen claims he's innocent. He also alleges that it was a group of Odinists who were actually responsible, white nationalists practicing an ancient Nordic religion. The evidence in this case is being revealed inside of a courtroom as Richard Allen fights for his freedom and the public wonders what really happened to Abby and Libby.
This story's so sad for these 2 girls and their families, the way they died, and their innocence. their innocence of we've got a day off from school. We're just going to go, we're going to go by that Monon High Bridge, right? We're going to walk across the scary bridge. We're going to be outside, and you want your kids to go outside and do things outside, right? And then this happens. Now, from the beginning, very little information was released through the days, weeks, and years. Little pieces were a video was eventually released with a piece of audio. And it's only a couple of seconds long, but all throughout this investigation, this case, this story, this mystery, this was the person they referred to as the bridge guy. And this bridge guy was purportedly the killer. Let's take a look at that video.
Guys. Down the hill. Guys. Down the hill.
Now, all along, we said.
All right. Did y'all hear what he said?
He said something about down the hill.
Yeah.
Suspected that there was more to this video that they weren't releasing for whatever reason, but there more existed. And then when the probable cause affidavit came out after the arrest of Richard Allen, it seems we got a little more information about what is supposedly on this video. This is from the probable cause filing. The video recovered from victim 2's phone shows victim 1 walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the male subject approaches victim 1 and victim 2, one of the victims mentions gun. One of the victims, one of the girls, mentions gun. Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard telling the girls, the audio you just saw, guys down the hill.
This is key evidence. They've kept that part of the, as y'all just heard, that's been a secret. Nobody knew the rest of that there was more on the video. So I think that's a huge deal. Find a gun, find the bullet.
They further believe he was carrying the Sig Sauer model P226 from the audio from victim 2's video, in which investigators believe they hear the sound of a gun being cycled and one of the victims mentioning gun. This was significant. This was so important. The video and the audio, you could hear the gun being cycled. And you heard the voice and you saw the killer right behind the girls. So now the video's been shown once to the jury. And that brings me to my first question tonight, which is about the video. What does this video actually show? Okay? What does this video actually show? Important question, important piece of evidence, something that has loomed so large throughout this investigation and now through this trial. So let me bring in my guest. Joining me, Court TV senior producer Barbara McDonald and criminal defense attorney Bob Mata. Barbara and Bob have both been in the courtroom for this trial. Great to see you tonight. Okay, I want to put this, it's such a difficult but important aspect of the case for the jury ultimately, but I think for the public to try to figure out and trust what actually happened here. This is from the notes of the testimony of Sheriff Tony Liggett. Tony Liggett says, Abby is heard on the video saying, "Is he right here? Don't leave me up here." So the sheriff is saying that Abby's saying on the video, "Is he right here? Don't leave me up here." The sheriff says that Libby can be heard saying, "That be a gun." He says the video ends with the man behind Abby saying, "Guys down the hill." That's what the...
Does that not sound kind of like somebody they would know? Guys down the hill.
Did they know this guy?
Yeah, he worked at the CBS. Everybody knew him in town.
Did they know him?
Yeah, everybody in the town knew him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The sheriff says.
Yeah.
Barbara McDonald. What should we, like, we're not seeing the trial, no cameras, no microphones, I get it. They're not releasing evidence until way after this trial, when everything is resolved. What are your thoughts about what the sheriff says he saw and heard versus what was shown and what was saw and what you see and hear when you see the video?
I think there's going to be debate about what other people heard. I do agree with the sheriff. I saw the video. I did not see it played in court. I was not in court when that happened, but I have seen the video. And when I saw it, I definitely heard Abby saying something to the effect of, "Is he right there?" Because in the beginning of the video, he is some distance behind her. And towards the end of the video, he catches up to her. So as she's approaching the end of the bridge, it definitely sounded to me like she was saying something like, "Is he right there, or is he still there?" Asking Libby, who is on the south side of the bridge, facing Abby and the man behind her. But I didn't hear the word gun. And talking with many people who were in the courtroom, they didn't hear either of the girls say the word gun either. So it'll be interesting what the jury heard if we get to hear from them individually about that video.
This is important evidence. Important evidence. And if it's, it seems like it's almost like something you have to listen to with headphones on to really understand.
That's what he said. He did listen to it that way, yes.
Okay. Now, these are notes from a reporter, Bob, who was inside the courtroom. This is what this reporter's saying that they heard. The reporter's notes. "See, this is the path. There's no path there, so we have to go down there." I guess that's one of the girls. "There's no path there, so we have to go down there." Then a man says, "Guys." One of the girls says, "Hi." Then a man's voice says, "Down the hill." "Guys, hi, down the hill." Bob Mata, that's what one person inside the courtroom heard. What did you?
That's exactly what I heard. So, but here's the thing, Vinny. They've played two versions of an enhanced video. So the one that Barbara's talking about is the one that they played most recently. So the day that they had the foundational witness on, the guy who had done the enhancements, they played a different video wherein that's exactly what I heard. And I didn't see. And remember, we're seeing this for 43 seconds. It gets played one time and it's gone. And you're trying to catch everything, right? You're looking at everything. You're trying to catch it. You're trying to digest it. What are they saying? What am I seeing? It's gone. And I don't see the camera ever come up from the point where Libby's got it pointed down at the gravel and down at the tracks. I see it come up for a brief flash. And I only see Abby. The next time they play it, when they have Liggett on the stand, it comes all the way up. I don't know how they did it. They said they stabilized it. I then see that image that we're looking at right there. You can see, as Barbara said, he had closed the gap substantially from the first time that I saw the video. So, because we've seen, in my estimation, Vinny, I've seen three versions of it. The original, the enhanced that didn't show the stabilized version, and then the full stabilized version. And I didn't hear anything about the gun, and I didn't hear Abby saying, "Is he still right behind me?" or "Is he right behind me?" I didn't hear either of those things. I think the question for me becomes, are the jurors going to get to have headphones on? Because there's no way you can hear that. I talked to 25 people in that courtroom, and no one heard those other words.
So the jury's not wearing headphones for this?
No.
Okay,
No.
Let me ask you this. There's a man's voice saying "guys," and there's a man's voice saying "down the hill." In the middle, there's a girl's voice saying "hi." Is it the same male voice, or is it possible that it's two different voices? Bob first.
Me? So, and Baldwin asked the question. He asked that question. He says, is it possible, is it preposterous is the word he used, to think that somebody could have just walked past Abby, got back to beyond where Libby was, and that somebody was standing there, or that somebody had come up the left side of the tracks. It was standing there, implying that maybe there were two people. Because the important point is, at least from the defense perspective, is that you cannot see Bridge Guy's mouth move. They have no way of really proving that he's the one saying it at all. Like, there's no way, you cannot see the man's mouth move. So, Liggett's like, well, I disagree with you because that doesn't make any sense. Like, the odds of somebody else being there makes no sense. But does it? I mean, and you're so right, Vinny, because this video is the case. Bridge Guy
this is the case.
Is the case.
Barbara, was there any difference in the voices? Did you hear any difference? Is it a possibility in your mind?
There's other sounds. There's the gravel that Libby is standing on, and that at that point in the video, Abby is on it as well. There's the wind and all of that. You don't see the man's face when those words are spoken. It sounded to me like it might be one person, but I don't know if it's the person who was behind them or somebody else who could potentially have been there at the time.
Wow.
But don't
the purpose of a trial.
So the girls had the wherewithal to video the guy on the bridge. So if there was another guy, don't you think they would have got him too?
Well, I mean, if they indeed had the wherewithal, like you're saying, or was it an accident that they accidentally recorded him?
I assumed that it wasn't an accident, that they...
Do you think like they knew, oh, this guy's about to murder us, we should probably get this on video?
Or they knew possibly he could be going to kidnap him, going to do something to him, and wanted everybody to see who it was. That's what I think.
At that age? They're young.
13 and 14.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, again, this is just one of the questions that I have.
Yeah.
There's just so many things about this case that I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Is to get the truth out. I'm just praying that it's happening out there in Delphi. All right. Guests are staying with us. Coming up next, was Richard Allen's car caught on video?
You want to know what we know? But one day, you will.
See how adamant he is.
Man is born evil.
So you chose bad. On the next Interview with a Killer.
You created the plan. I didn't actually shoot her.
You did murder her, though.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Did it occur to you that you had just gone from troubled teen to teenage murderer? What was the plan?
She needed payback.
Payback with her life?
I kind of want to watch that.
Interview with a Killer. New episode Sunday, 8/7 Central. Only on Court TV.
To the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you, or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
No, here's something that you may not know. They did interrogate him or question him, and he was taken off the list of suspects for a long time.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah with the blue dress. Can you pause for a second?
Yeah.
I don't exactly know why the cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, But from what I'm understanding, that there's no room to even sit in that courtroom. People are spending the night outside just to get a seat in there. So I'm guessing, what's weird though is that they wouldn't have to do that if you'd allow cameras. There'd be plenty of room to sit if you had cameras in there, I bet.
Right.
But they don't. I don't exactly know why.
I wish there was just a camera. I just wish there was.
Tell them about him talking with him early on, and the file was found by that lady years later.
Talking with him early, and the file was found by that lady years later. I don't know about the file.
They have wall-mounted cameras in the courtroom, but they are covered with black trash bags. Wow.
Ugh.
It's 2024. We can't do better than black trash bags. Come on, people. Jeez.
This makes sense though, because it does go by. The judge gets to decide, and I'm assuming some states, but the judge gets to decide. And Beautifully Broken says the judge is very anti-media, so she's making it very difficult for journalists to report.
Yeah, somebody earlier said something about not liking the judge.
A lot of people have said that.
I've seen the woman from Hidden True Crime sleeping outside. Isn't there a larger courtroom in the building? I don't know. I don't know at all.
Probably, but he's like, and because the judges probably find a lot of the media interest ridiculous, because this is the life they live. They see this stuff every day.
Yeah, but I mean, the community is very invested in this case. You would think this one she'd make an exception for, because everybody is so invested. But whatever, it's not. I'm not the judge. She is.
Right.
The lady that was given the duty of filing all the interviews, witnesses, etc. R.A. was in there. Richard Allen was in there, but he had been filed away as not important. She picked it out as suspicious. Otherwise, we would not be here right now. Wow. The gallery only seats 25. Yeah, that's what I heard. It's a tiny little room. It's standing room only. There's not even any places to sit. And people are like sleeping outside overnight just to try to get in.
Yeah, I see. I'm not that dedicated. No. I bet Nancy Grace ain't sleeping outside.
Yeah, probably not. Now, on Spotify, I sent this link to you when it was sent to me. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but it has the opening statements and more. And I have that pulled up if you want to hear that. Or do you have something already for that?
No, I don't. I didn't know if I could pull it up or not. But we can definitely play it. And do you want to cut this off right here?
No, we can finish this if you want. I don't know what else is on this video right here.
Okay.
A question to you. What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls? 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
Amen.
That's before the arrest of Richard Allen. And you look at it in retrospect, I don't think they knew anything, right? Because they had to find this old tip from years ago.
That's exactly what I was thinking the whole time. That man, whoever that police officer was, didn't convince me at all that he knew a damn thing, that he was trying to bluff out the murderer. That's what he was trying to do.
Yeah. And I don't blame him.
Pretend that they're right there or right on your back door, sir. And they weren't. He didn't know a dang thing.
No, because it took, 3 more years after this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was never pursued. And then go after Richard Allen hiding in plain sight at the CVS. But they didn't know who he was. They really didn't have much of anything to go on at that point. Seemed to be a little bit of a bluff. But they did have some
that's what I said.
surveillance video. Right? And timeline is important in all this because Richard Allen admits he was there. He self-reported that he was there that day. But to get there from where he lived and worked, he would need to drive there at some point. So take a look at this from the probable cause affidavit. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest store video at 1:27 p.m. traveling westbound on 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest store, which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30 at the trails, trying to put together this timeline. Richard Allen's timeline has shifted a little bit, according to prosecutors. So this is an important question, right? And this is like evidence that a jury could really sink their teeth into. Now let's take a look at my next question, which is, was Richard Allen's car caught on video? Right? If you capture the car on video, you can lock someone in to a timeline. So important in trying to put together a case, especially when the timeline is in question to a certain extent. Still with me, Barbara McDonald and Bob Mata. I want to go through two more things, and then I want you guys to take over from there. Tony Liggett, again, the sheriff, saying that he did research into Richard Allen after they got that old tip. Allen had a handgun permit, but Allen had two cars registered to his name, a 2006 Ford 500, big four-door sedan, and a 2016 black Ford Focus. Also found out that he was employed at the CVS. So the sheriff went to the CVS and took pictures of Richard Allen's car. His car was backed into the parking spot at the CVS. The car seen on the day of the murder was backed into the parking spot, so that's sort of consistent in the way you park. And a car with the matching description was seen on the Hoosier Harvest store camera at 1:27 p.m., February 13th, 2017. Barbara McDonald, why is it just matching the description? We've got a video. Was it or was it not caught on video? Like, why can't you match a video to a car in the middle of the day?
Because, well, they didn't see the license plate and they couldn't identify the driver of that vehicle. When Richard Allen was interviewed by police in October of 2022, 2 weeks prior to his arrest, he said that when he went to the trails, he typically traveled from town, which is an easterly direction. This car was traveling west to the parking area at the old CPS lot. But again, they can only say that the car matches. One of the questions the jurors had for the witness about this was, did they check how many other Ford Focuses are registered to people in the area? And Steve Mullen, who was the police chief of Delphi Police at the time the murder happened, and now is the lead investigator for the prosecutor, said, no, they didn't get that information. So we don't know how many Ford Focuses might have been in the area or are registered to people who live in the area.
Okay, so Bob Mata, I mean, at a minimum, so it's the same make and model that everyone's that matches here. It's a Ford Focus, and may not know the year, but at least the make and model are similar. And was there anything distinct about the wheels of the car?
Yeah, I mean, it's the state's position that it's a match. The problem is they don't actually have the video, Vinny. They have a still. For whatever reason, they did not.
Wait. Say that again.
They don't have the actual video. But I think what they're left with is a still. That's what they have. Are you hearing the same thing, Barbara? They don't have the video, correct?
Well, I think they went back and got the video in 2022. But in 2017, when Steve Mullen first went to the Hoosier Harvest store, when he found out they had this surveillance video established, this camera set up on the roadway, he didn't take the video. He simply took stills on his phone of the video. Then once they circled back to Richard Allen in 2022, they went back to the store and asked to have the video. And I think that's when they got the video. It has not been played. We have not seen that video, nor have we seen that still.
Right. I mean, how are they not playing the video? If they have the video, isn't that the best evidence? Like, where's the video? Why are we not seeing the video? Like, Vinny, this case, and Barbara will attest, this case is the case that should have been streamed to the world because it's that case.
Yes.
This case is, in my estimation, an absolute true whodunit, and the world needs to see this case. This is the reason we have transparency in trials in this country. And this thing is being tried in the dark. It's like, and we're all doing the very best we can.
That does make you wonder, huh? Why?
Right?
Every single one of us.
It just does. It's bizarre. Especially on a case that has, nationwide interest, worldwide interest, maybe,
Right.
like people are very invested in this case. Why wouldn't you stream this unless
Right.
you are questioning your evidence?
And you got to think, surely to goodness, they want the right person because 2 children were murdered. So,
Right. Right. The judge would make that decision, right? Because she doesn't like the media. Yeah, Gray. When we're talking about Gray, we're talking about Gray Hughes Investigates. I'll drop his channel link if you guys want. He definitely covers this.
mhm.
And right now I'm looking for a video that he put together that shows some kind of animation of.
Yeah, I've got it on the
You have the animation that I'm
I
looking
do.
for right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, good. Then I will stop looking for it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I got it on the playlist.
Good, because apparently it's really good.
Yeah, it says it's really good.
Barb, everybody else that's in there diligently taking notes. We're probably missing things that we'd otherwise be able to observe. How are witnesses acting on the stand? Because I'm looking down on my pad of paper because I'm acting as a stenographer.
Well, what's interesting? What's interesting, Bob? Like, what it does is it turns anyone who's in that courtroom, you're almost all in the same position as the jury. And now we know how hard it is to be a juror, don't we?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Another key point, Vinny, about that video is you would think if they have video of his car arriving and he's traveling westbound, that's also the direction that they claim he was walking at 4 p.m. or just before 4 p.m. to get back to his car. And we don't have any video of him walking.
Wow. All right. A lot more to get to.
None of him walking, Vinny.
I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
I don't know. It just, that's all. Oh boy. This case is I mean, and I understand not every case is going to be handed to us on a silver platter like Sarah Boone.
Right.
Or Leilani or Daryl Brooks. This is one of those that are way more frustrating to me because I don't know and I want to be sure.
What helped in the other 2 other ones? Well, not that Leilani just absolutely was guilty, from they knew that.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like we knew
Yeah.
they had all the evidence, they had the timeline, they had everything. And they laid it out, so perfectly clearly. There's reasonable doubt with everything they bring up.
Right. Is it with Daryl Brooks, there was video. With Sarah, there was video.
Yes.
And this, they have video. They said they have none of him walking unless this is him walking on the bridge.
Yes, but they're trying to place him at the scene at certain times, and there's no video that does that.
He wants his animation out there? Okay. I got it.
Okay, can we play that one? Can we do that one next?
Absolutely.
All right. It's a 25-minute video. You can 2 times it, I guess. He wants his animation out there. Okay, yeah, and we dropped his link. The video is called Delphi YBG is Richard Allen.
Let me find it. I know I saved it. Yep, I found it.
Can you believe the moment has finally arrived for this trial to...
Is that it, British Chippy? No, that's not it.
The jury is seated in Richard Allen's double.
Oh, heck. Calm down, computer. Calm down.
Potential case, 2 missing juveniles.
No, go up.
New details about the murders of teenagers. Libby.
Did you say it?
ABC 57's
Yes, right
Annie
there.
Kate.
Go up. Right there. Stop.
Can you believe the moment has finally arrived for this trial?
The jury is seated in Richard Allen's double murder trial at
Potential case, 2 missing.
new details about the murders.
Why won't it play it?
ABC 57's Annie.
Wayne, Indiana. The man accused of...
All right, Hannah, thank you. Right now,
in the river and was...
Here, I have it, Randy.
Can you believe the moment has finally arrived for this trial to...
I have it.
I must have hit something that...
The jury is seated in Richard Allen.
I've got it. It's right here.
Potential case, 2 missing juveniles.
Hold mine in.
Hold on.
New details about the murders of...
What are they? Oh yeah, I don't know what the hell. I don't know what happened.
Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Today's video is the animation that I made probably 6 years ago of the sequence at the end of the bridge and kind of how it was for the girls. Now, Patty watched this years ago and would tell people to watch this because it sort of indicates kind of how it went. I mean, obviously the camera that Libby was holding was moving around, quite a bit all over the place, and it was kind of hectic. But on this video, you'll see the entire walk across the bridge, and then at certain points, I'll put in animation of where I think the bridge guy was at specific points, and where the girls were. Where they took the photographs is something absolutely known. We have the precise location on the bridge where the full length of the bridge shot was taken, and the shot of Abby from Libby on platform 3. So let's just play it right now. So this is just a video that I believe it's Bonnie Raitt filmed this, and that's platform 1. That's apparently where Richard Allen said he was standing, and Betsy Blair was actually at the behind at the barriers, which at trial she said it was 50 feet away, but when you measured it, it was 114 feet. So I'm not sure. That's 37 yards. So I'm not really sure how good of a shot you would get of somebody, a picture in your mind of somebody from 37 yards away, which is, over a third of a football field. So this is what it looked like, and this is likely what Libby's video looked like in terms of quality. I think it had a very similar look to this. And coming up here is platform 2. And it's a little bit past platform 2 when the first photograph that we saw as the public. There's many more images and videos that were taken that day, but the only ones that the public currently have are the full-length shot of the bridge, the shot of Abby from platform 3, and then also the video at the far end of the bridge way down there. Right, so we're approaching platform 2.
Did he go there and walk
and,
it?
I mean, you can see the person filming here is trying to stay really steady and moving across, and they're not really walking that fast. And I know somebody that got across the bridge in 3.5 minutes the first time they were ever there. So somebody that was very confident, they could probably get across the bridge in, right around 3 minutes, 3:15, 3:30. And I think that's how fast Richard Allen was moving. I mean, he was on a mission. And when I say Richard Allen, I'm talking about Bridge Guy. Now look at right here. See this vine on the ground? Right there. You can see it on the bottom of the screen, and also look at the damaged railroad tie right there. You'll see that coming up here. So just remember this vine though. And this is the same spot. There's the damaged railroad tie. She bends down, and you'll see it here in the picture. And see the picture, there's the vine and there's the damaged railroad tie. And so that's exactly where that photograph was taken.
Wow.
And that vine is actually right between her legs right there. And then there's platform 3 up there. And what I'll do is after we go through this with me talking, I'll just play this entire thing again with, just some music in the background so that you can just watch it without me saying anything and observe. But this is platform 3, and I kind of edit things differently in this video where I switch to animation. So here we go. You'll see platform 3, and then in just a moment, you'll switch over to.
Uh-oh. What happened?
So sorry. Hold, please. So sorry. Ugh. I found it, British Chippy. I found it. Can you guys still hear me or no?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's choking right now.
Libby about to get on the platform, and this is kind of what it would probably look like from her point of view, looking, and she's getting ready to take the photograph. And if you look right there on the ground, if I hit pause here, see how it's damaged right there? Abby's standing right next to this. And you'll see her, I think her foot's on this railroad tie. We're about to see the full shot here, right there. And then she takes a picture, and the picture looks like that. And there's the damaged railroad tie, and her right foot is on the railroad tie behind the damaged one, just like I showed you. And then they'll continue to move.
Come on.
Down the bridge. Now, in my original animation, I just kind of would switch to where they were, but I want you to see the full walk. This is her getting off of the platform 3. This will be the full walk of the bridge. Now, if you can see that next platform up there on the left, that's platform 4. See the tree on the right that kind of looks like a V? That's actually the forked tree that you see behind the suspect in the suspect video. So the bridge guy video, there's a forked tree in the background. Those are some of the trees that make up that look. And it's amazing.
I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's my internet or
Amazing how spread out everything really is.
Low budget production,
because the
y'all.
camera
Sorry.
is down low and it's a wide angle lens. It just has this look like the tree and that platform number 5 are right behind bridge guy. And in this case, it's Richard Allen, but it looks like it's right behind him, but it's really quite a ways back. Now, here's where I think is about where Richard Allen or bridge guy started coming towards the far end of the bridge. And this is them walking. They were just about at platform 4. And they're looking back saying, oh, God, he's coming. And so they're able to get almost to the end of the bridge. Libby makes it off the end of the bridge and is standing there. And she's holding the phone, as I've been saying for years, in a way that is sort of clandestinely filming the suspect. And it's filming in different directions and so forth. And there's only a small portion, like maybe 2 seconds, that have the bridge guy in it. Now, right here, here's that forked tree right here on the right. That's what's making up the forked tree behind the bridge guy. And there's the platform that you see behind him in the images released. And believe it or not, the bridge guy is actually past platform 6 and is really about like 60 feet away from the end of the bridge when he's being filmed, or at least the still frames that we saw and the two seconds of video that was released. He's about like 57, 58 feet away from the end of the bridge. He looks small in the background, though. I just did an example last night on my show, and that's because it's a wide angle lens and he's cropped out of a much larger picture. Now, this is much more stable, I'm imagining, than Libby's video. And on the right.
Can I just say this looks like a terrifying ass bridge? Like, why would anybody even walk on this bridge? This is a terrifying bridge. It looks like it's about to fall over.
Yeah, I wouldn't. And I think
if you look
they
at the
say it was
original
80 feet
photograph,
high.
Oh my gosh. Not even a side rail for that? Like, what the hell? What is this? Oh my goodness. I hope they tear this thing down.
Of the bridge guy, there's this little white nodule looking thing by his right foot. And it turns out that's a damaged side railing. And you can see it right now on the right. See how there's that discoloration there? And you'll be able to see it pretty well in this video. You can see it's really damaged there. And you can only see that if you're off the end of the bridge and the camera's low. So see right there on the right, there's that damaged side railing.
I mean, honestly, this looks like something out of a horror film, this bridge. I'm gonna have nightmares about this bridge.
Well,
tie.
it does.
That's what makes up the white
But
sort of nodule
it
looking
said that
thing
like a
by his
lot of
foot.
the young people would go there and to be alone, hang their feet off the edge and read a book. That it's pretty trusted.
Uh-huh. Terrifying. No.
Yeah.
Terrifying. It looks like it's about to fall. It's like held together with old chewing gum. It's about to fall apart. The planks are broken. It's 80 feet high and the floor is all busted out.
Now, the suspect is
Scary,
right
man.
coming up here. He's only like about 5 or 6 feet past platform 6. And here it is. So this is Abby going off the end of the bridge. And just picture Libby was standing there just like that. And here he comes. And this is the video that I made. And then here comes the suspect. And he comes up on the girls at the end of the bridge. And that's the audio that's on the ISP website for Delphi. So I put that in there, okay? So when you watch this, you can just feel how horrifying.
Wow. Let's play that again. Just bop that back a tiny bit. This animation is amazing, Gray. Wow.
Yeah.
Someone it's been redone. Well, thank God. My gosh. This whole thing is, I mean, obviously it's a horrible tragedy too, but it's already terrifying enough. Watch as he comes up on them and he puts the sound from the video on there. This animation is amazing. Yeah.
And here he comes, and this is the video that I made. And then here comes the suspect, and he comes up on the girls at the end of the bridge. And that's the audio that's on the ISP website for Delphi. So I put that in there, okay? So when you watch this, you can just feel how...
Wow. Oh. I'm going to just play that at regular speed one more time.
Here comes the suspect, and he comes up on the girls at the end of the bridge. And that's the audio that's on the ISP website for Delphi.
Yeah.
So I put that in there, okay? So when you watch this...
Well done, Gray Hughes. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
We don't know how you did it, but applause.
Yeah. Thank you for letting us use this. We're dropping your link in the chat. Very well done.
So you can just feel how horrifying it must have been for them that there's this guy that they saw earlier, obviously. They walked past him, and he probably walked down the trail a little bit and watched. He wanted them to feel comfortable getting onto the bridge, so he got back into the woods a little bit. And let me show you what I'm referring to. I think he walked back to maybe back in here. So here's the start of the bridge. And he walked back to maybe back in this area here and waited and watched the girls cross the creek or the bridge even. And then when they're kind of over about in this area, he makes his move because now he knows that they would more likely go off the other end and he can trap them over there. So that's when I believe he hustles across. He gets across in 3 minutes. It took them, if this image here is at 2:07, and then Libby started filming at 2:13 and 51 seconds, then, you know, that's almost, that's 6 minutes later when Libby started filming, and she's off the end of the bridge, but Abby's still on there. So they're walking, Abby's walking about a quarter the speed of the bridge guy, all right? So he gets off the end of the bridge, as we heard. There's a sound where it sounds like he's racking his gun, and he tells the girls to go down the hill. And, you know, Abby and Libby are wondering which way they can go, and there's nowhere to go, they were saying. And it's just absolutely horrifying. It's always felt that way. We've all had that feeling in life where you're absolutely terrified that something's going to happen. They had that same feeling. For the rest of us, a lot of times the horrifying feeling goes away when you realize that your fears were unfounded. In this case, it got worse and worse. A gun gets pulled out. They are forced down the hill, and they were forced to do, you know, disrobe at some point. One of them saw the other one get killed. I mean, it's an absolute nightmare. Okay, it's a nightmare that actually happened to Abby and Libby. Now I'm going to play the video without me talking so you can just watch it and sort of have your own thoughts about it. And let's get started on that right now.
Oh boy.
That would scare the shit out of me.
You
I'm
can,
sorry. I'm
yes.
completely overwhelmed. Looking back and seeing him standing there, that would scare the absolute shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
God bless those poor girls.
All right. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you get a better sense of what was going on that day. I appreciate you guys watching. If you could share the video, I would really appreciate it. I think this gives a much better perspective to people, and I think it'll help people understand what it was like out there, the look of the bridge at that time, and really get a better understanding of the 0 hour in this case, the actual moment in time when they were abducted off the end of the bridge. All right, everybody, thank you all very much for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Whew. Wow.
That was deep.
Okay, so there's another video that British Chippy, another one by Gray Hughes, that it's another animated one, but it's why Bridge Guy is Richard Allen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this one is also supposed to be good.
Let me run to the restroom,
Okay.
and we'll play that.
Okay.
I'm interested in this. Convince me, Gray. Convince me.
Yes, that's what we want to see. So they're deadlocked on the burn pile trial. Is the judge sending them back, or is that the final ruling, Tracy?
Why would they be deadlocked?
I don't know. They were taking a really long time. I don't understand. She's clearly guilty. Yeah, I don't understand that either. That's weird. I didn't watch that trial all the way, but from what I heard, I thought it was pretty open and shut. That sucks to go through all that and then come back deadlocked. Ugh. So frustrating. That's what he wants to do, is help prove it. Yeah, thank you, Pammy B. Pammy B is dropping Gray Hughes' channel link. And I will give you the link to the video that we are about to watch right now. As soon as Randy comes back, we're going to watch this video that I'm putting in the chat right now. And it's going to explain why Bridge Guy, and it's funny because I didn't know what BG meant. So until he said Bridge Guy. So then now I understand. BG is Richard Allen. So I'll be very interested. Not sure what the judge says yet. Okay, Tracy, thank you. Who's going to find a way to be mad? I'm already convinced he did it, but I want to see what all the video shows. Yes, as soon as Randy gets back, we'll watch this next video. And then I also have pulled up what I believe are the opening statements. I'm hoping it's the actual opening statements and not just somebody's description of the opening statements. Gray Hughes. Well, hopefully Gray doesn't mind that we're using his stuff. We're plugging him. We're giving him all the credit. And we are, dropping his channel link and his video links. So hopefully he's going to be okay with that. He said he wanted, to get the word out. So here we are, getting the word out. Don't come for us, Gray Hughes. Please don't be mad. Right, Pammy B. He was definitely very invested in this case as well. All right, you want me to pull it in now?
Yeah, well, it just okay. We're not going to get into the burn pile trial right now, but bullshit. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, British Chippy, Gray Hughes. British Chippy has been a very loyal watcher. You need to unblock her, sir.
Yes, okay? Please.
Please, and thank you. She's a very nice chatter. She didn't mean to call you what did you call him? A moron? I'm not sure.
I'm dramatic.
Drama king. She didn't mean to call you that. Okay. She takes it back. Undo. Give her another chance. There you go. We put in a good word for you, British Chippy.
Hi, wait,
I hope it works out. All right, here we go. I know he does, Tracy. I know he's very, very invested. He called you a moron. And we apologize on behalf of Gray Hughes.
You are not a moron.
Make it right, Gray Hughes. Make it right. Justice for British Chippy. Come on.
All right. Is he someone who blocks and unblocks, or?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Mhm.
I know he didn't like being called a drama king. I do know that.
Yeah. Write that down.
Probably a bad idea. Don't do that again. Yes. Hashtag justice for British Chippy. Let her back in, Gray. Come on. She's a loyal, faithful viewer. She won't do it again. Maybe.
Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. This is the video that I was going to make yesterday. However, the letter that was sent to Fran Gohl was so disturbing to me that I thought I'd make that one first. So today's video is regarding how Richard Allen has to be the bridge guy. And I want the people who absolutely believe that Richard Allen is not the bridge guy to write something in the comment section and explain to me how that's possible given the information that was on the probable cause document. You'd have to believe that it's all made up information, I guess, is your argument. All right, so let's take a look at sort of the foundation of the probable cause. So here's the first screenshot that I want you to look at. That's from the probable cause. It says, investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip narrative from an officer, and that's Dan Doolin, who interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2017. That narrative stated, Mr. Allen was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone. Now, obviously, law enforcement would be able to verify if he was using his phone because that would have had to use a cell tower. So is Richard Allen lying then? And won't that prove exactly when he was on the trail? Also, a lot of people think, oh, they just invented the 1:30 to 3:30 time. Well, then why didn't they change this part where it says he parked at the old Farm Bureau building? All right. Later, he said it was the old building. All right. But the old Farm Bureau building, there was one downtown Delphi, like over a mile away. And that doesn't really make any sense that he parked there, then went to the Freedom Bridge. There's an old building right next to the Freedom Bridge, which was the abandoned CPS building. And you could walk. It's not there anymore. They've taken it down. There's a little trail from there that walks right to the Freedom Bridge. So that is what Richard Allen's actually talking about. But of course, the people that want to believe in Richard Allen, they're going to go with some obscure Farm Bureau building downtown. But why didn't law enforcement just put here the abandoned CPS building? You know, if you're saying that they're inventing stuff, they could have easily just put that in there, right? But they didn't. They said the old Farm Bureau building, but they believe that he's referring to the abandoned CPS building. Then on October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. Now, that first interview we just read was right after the murders. Now, did Richard Allen get a hold of the law enforcement? He actually called the tip line. Did he do that because he passed those 3 juveniles and he has a public job working at the CVS pharmacy and wanted to get ahead of the story? Or is it also possible that the image of the person on the bridge, there's a still frame that was put out of Bridge Guy, for lack of a better term, 2 or 3 days after the murders. Did Richard Allen see that and say, wow, that's me and those 3 girls saw me, so I better get ahead of this and call law enforcement, and Dan Doolin was sent out? I guess we'll have to figure out when the timing of that image was put out, but it does seem like he wanted to get ahead of it. So again, on October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge and that he went out onto the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and then left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. Now he doesn't refer to it as the old Farm Bureau building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. BW showed investigators photograph. This is one of the three. There was 4 girls out there. One of them was a very young juvenile, like 8 or 9, and the rest of them were in their teens. BW was one of the older ones. Showed investigators photographs she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. The photographs included a photo of the Monon High Bridge taken at 12:43 p.m. and another one taken at 1:26 p.m. of the bench east of the Freedom Bridge. BW advised after she took the photo of the bench, which was 1:26, they started walking back towards the Freedom Bridge. She advised that was when they encountered the man who matched the description of the photograph taken from Libby's video. BW described the man she encountered on the trails as wearing a blue or black windbreaker jacket. All right, so BW, out of the 3 older people of the 3, there was 4 girls there. 3 of them were teens, and one of them was a younger person and quite a bit smaller. So maybe that's why Richard Allen didn't see that person. All right, but law enforcement also only interviewed 3 of them because one of them was so young. But BW gave a description that was very close. The other one said all black. The other one said light blue pants and like a really light blue jacket. Okay, so they all had, they were sort of in the same ballpark, because when you look at the bridge guy, he's wearing kind of darker clothes. If you consider the top, the jeans aren't that dark, but when you're inside the tree line, it probably seems a little bit darker. And that might be exactly where they saw him, was right near the edge of the tree line as it exits out onto the Freedom Bridge. And then right here it says, investigators discovered Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvester video at 1:27 p.m., traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest store, which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30 p.m. at the trails. And that sighting right there on the Hoosier Harvest store video of Richard Allen's vehicle, or a vehicle that looks just like the one that he has, is very good circumstantial evidence that corroborates his initial statement to Dan Doolin that he got there at 1:30. Now, I'll be showing you all of this on a map using an animation that I created in just a moment. And then this is where Richard Allen voluntarily was interviewed on October 13, 2022. This is from the Frank's memorandum. Watching the videotaped interview, it is apparent that Richard Allen thought he was being asked questions to help assist the police in solving the crime. Of course, that's from the defense perspective. I would expect nothing less. In trying to provide Liggett and Mullen a timeline of when he was at the trail, Richard stated he arrived at the trail around noon. Later in the interview, Richard Allen told Liggett and Mullen that he probably left the trail around 1:30 p.m. Now, that's verifiably false that he left at 1:30, and it's also verifiably false that he got there at noon. That is not accurate information, and it's provable. He obviously changed the time to be just outside of the original time frame he gave because he knows how important that was. And then keep this in mind. On April 3rd, 2023, Richard Allen made a phone call to his wife, Kathy Allen. In that phone call, Richard Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. Investigators had the phone call transcribed, and the transcription confirms that Richard M. Allen admits that he committed the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. He admits several times within the phone call that he committed the offenses as charged. His wife, Kathy Allen, ends the phone call abruptly. And again, Kathy Allen at that point then, after she hung up the phone, got a hold of his attorneys, and then they concocted this plan. Okay, yeah. Now he's been tortured in prison. They affected his brain, and now he's confessing because of that torture. It's not real. It's a coerced confession. It's false. It's not real. And by the way, Richard, what we need you to do is start drooling on your shirt, okay? And chew on some paper. That'll really sell that fact, okay? But even though we know that prior to the confession, he had been reading books, exercising, and things were going well. We know that Richard Allen was completely lucid when he confessed to his mother and wife. Okay, now let's take a look at this visually here. This right here is 12:43 p.m. This is where those three girls are. There was actually a fourth, like I said, a smaller child. And this is 12:43. Now, if the girls were right here at 12:43, taking a picture at the bridge, then likely, let's just say that they were dropped off right here, and the way they are slowly moving around, I would say they got dropped off here at 12:33 and walked to the bridge, something like that. And also, we don't know how long they were there before they took the picture. Did they quickly get to the bridge? Oh, and take a picture at 12:43? We don't know. However, when they left, they went this way over the Freedom Bridge. So that would probably mean that they came in this direction. And I would say at the very latest, they got there at 12:20. 12:20 in this area, walking down the trail, they make their way over, and then at 12:43, they took this picture. So if Richard Allen, by his change story in 2022, he claims he got there at noon and left at 1:30, those three girls would act as clearing agents for seeing him. So they would have got here at 12:20, walked down the trail. They didn't see anybody. They didn't see anybody. They didn't see anybody. They got here. They certainly didn't see anybody standing on platform 1. Then they started slowly kind of meandering around, hanging out, talking, walking back, and eventually make it to this area at 1:26, still hadn't seen him. And then when they were leaving, they passed the guy that matches the individual on the bridge, which is Richard Allen, because he himself said he got there at 1:30, and circumstantially, a vehicle matching the description of his 2016 black Ford Focus drove by the Hoosier Harvest Store right here. All right, so let's go and check this out. So this is at 12:43. Those girls start walking back this direction. And they're just going to continue to walk. We don't know how, it took them 45 minutes or so to get up to this area. So they're just hanging out like kids do. They're chilling out on the trails. And then right here is 1:26. There's right there at a bench, and there's a photograph taken. And you can actually see that online. And then here is Richard Allen's vehicle, the black Ford Focus, driving by. Now that vehicle is going to pull up and park at the abandoned CPS building right here. And backs in, just like other witnesses saw that the vehicle was backed in on the side of the building. And then here's Richard Allen right here, exiting. And those girls are still just kind of meandering their way out of the area. And likely right around like 1:33, 1:34, they passed each other right around in this area here.
And that's confirmed, right?
So they passed each other right here. And they said he had his head down. He looked like he was on a...
Say that again?
So that's confirmed. Those three girls saw him.
Well, the three girls saw somebody, and they, I think they said that they said hi to him, and he didn't say anything back.
Mm-hmm.
But they said that, I'm reading the affidavit for the search warrant, and it was just talking about those girls. They said that he was he was wearing baggy jeans, was taller than her. She stated her head came to approximately his shoulder. One of them said hi to the man, and he said nothing back. He was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. Also stated the man had his hands in his pockets and kept his head down. She didn't get a good look at his face, but believed he was a white male.
Okay.
So that's where we are with that.
And well, okay. Now I started to say, well, if they saw him, then why was he let off the hook in the beginning? But they didn't see his face. I get it.
Right. The other thing that I'm now, so as we're playing this, and I'm not trying to impugn your work, sir, Mr. Gray Hughes. I promise I'm not. But I'm getting messages that saying, let's see. It said, one of them says, it hasn't come out at trial yet, but Kathy, the wife, just took Bob Mata to where they usually park. It was just where Richard Allen said he parked on the recorded interrogation and not at the old CPS building. Judge Gull hates the defense. She ousted them and the Indiana Supreme Court reinstated them. She's saying that, okay, so let's see. Gray Hughes assumes that the 4 girls that say they saw a bridge guy are the same 3 girls that RA says he saw. 2 of the 4 girls testified for the state. Neither identified RA in court. One actually says she saw RA at the Freedom Bridge, which is against the state's own theory. All witnesses say bridge guy is tall and muscular. Richard Allen is 5'5". There was another group of 3 girls who were there earlier, which line up with Richard Allen's timeline. The judge is biased against the defense. Yes, that's what I'm hearing as well. Yeah, there's 3 girls that he said he saw as well. Yes. But it's not the same. I guess there's another set of girls that doesn't match up with the timeline. She was ordered by a different court to reinstate them. Yes, that's what happened.
But he's changed the timeline a couple of times.
Yeah.
So it may not match up, but then again, it may, because nobody really knows the timeline because he has changed it.
Yes. So it's saying that there's another. You haven't heard anything about another set of girls. There were no other girls. Okay. Well, I'm just telling you the messages that I'm getting, y'all. Yes, Tracy, this is Gray's video that we're playing right now. And another video that we also played earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The defense was denied the use of geofence data in court for the first time. Gull denied its use. Wow, that's the judge, Gull. When does the defense want both the FBI and the geofence data in a case? This is a crazy ass case.
It is, but I'm going back.
Like the judge is really against the defense, so she's not making it very easy for them to put on a case, I guess.
But I keep going back to where he immediately went and said, "Oh, I was there." So I mean, you could look at it as he was getting ahead of it, or no, I don't know. He was there. Why didn't he see anything? He didn't see anything but 3 girls. That's what you saw? I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm not ready to convict him, but I'm not ready to set him free either.
Same. Yeah, she wants no media. It stinks to high heaven. What image was put out? There's no other set of girls?
I've never heard of another set of girls.
Yeah,
but
that's what people in the chat are saying too.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah, don't take what I'm saying as fact. I'm just telling you what the messages that are being sent to me. Yeah. All right, let's watch the rest of this. I bopped it back a little so we could figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So they pass each other right here, and they said he had his head down. He looked like he was on a mission, kind of stern looking. One of them said his mouth was covered. He had a covering on his mouth. The other one said they couldn't see his mouth, which was interesting, right? Because that means 2 people noticed that they couldn't see his mouth. Richard Allen said when he got there, he went straight to the bridge. That's what he said. So here he is. Let's just go with this. He's walking down. He's right there. Now let's go back to where those girls are now. Notice how they're right here, about to cross
Mom, would he
over
walk
the
the
old
bridge?
State Road 25, and there comes
Why?
Say that again?
Why did he walk the bridge? Why would he be going to
I
work
don't
at
know.
CVS and then walk the bridge? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Unless every day he walked the bridge. If somebody said, we saw Richard walking the bridge every day because that's what he'd done to get in exercise before he went and worked at CVS. Why that day did he walk on the bridge? Why?
I don't know. He was there for a reason, they're saying.
Right. He had to be there for a reason.
Yeah.
Betsy Blair. And then she passes this camera right here at 147. Or 146, actually. And she parks and probably gets out of her car at 147-ish. She gets out and she starts making her way to the trail. Now, she's there to exercise, so she's moving pretty quickly. And Richard Allen, at this point, had made his way to right here. He's still standing on platform 1, because remember, he went there to look at fish. Do you think he just went there, looked at one fish, and turned around really quick and ran back? No.
Okay, so now
let's just pause this for a second.
So this
Actually,
one day out of the,
so scroll back just a.
I'm sorry. This one day out of his lifetime of, he worked at CVS for a lot of years. He went to look at a fish.
I don't know.
That does not make sense. It don't make sense.
Yeah.
Either he's the unluckiest man in the world, or he is the killer. Like, you see what I mean? The unluckiest man in the world. The day he goes and looks at a damn fish.
Right.
Or he's the one.
That's weird.
It is.
Hey, Buttercrumpet.
Hey, Buttercrumpet. Good to see you.
Elsie drove by the Hoosier Harvest store at 149.
I understand, Buttercrumpet.
So she drops the girls off probably, 148 and some odd seconds. They get out, but they're just slowly walking around because they're like those other 3 girls, just taking pictures, etc. So there goes Betsy Blair heading towards the bridge, and this is Abby and Libby. And from here to here, it takes 10 minutes walking quickly. So if that was 134, it'd been 144 when Richard Allen got there. And remember, Betsy Blair got dropped off, or she got there at 146 or 7, which is just 3 minutes after Richard Allen would have got here. So when she got onto the trail here, she would have passed him. Had he went this way really quick and passed her, she would have seen him, but she didn't. That means he's still at the bridge. So she gets right to the start of the bridge and turns around immediately and goes the other direction. And Richard Allen was 50 feet away, standing on platform 1, looking at fish. So perhaps that's why Betsy Blair didn't really get a great look at him and has a different description than law enforcement originally put out on their sketch. The original sketch was a closer match. So then Betsy Blair actually passes Abby and Libby as they're walking towards the bridge, and Richard Allen is likely still here. At some point, though, Richard Allen probably noticed the 2 girls, but wanted to make them feel safe. So he passes them and allows them to get onto the bridge or do what they're going to do and feel safe. So maybe right around in this point right here, Richard Allen passes them and then walks back and then waits back in the woods there. If you notice the shot of Abby on the bridge, you can't see anybody in the background through the woods. So it's not a very high quality image or anything like that. I mean, it's clear, you can see it, but it's I think it's only like 720p. So if somebody was back in the woods there, you wouldn't be able to see them on that shot. And then there's another shot that Libby took with her phone of the full length of the bridge. And again, you don't see anybody. So what it means is that Richard Allen then walked back into the woods past them and then waited for the girls to go onto the bridge. And now he can trap them. If he came from the other side, the girls would then go the other direction and go back to the northwest and get out of there. So let's just speed it up here a little bit. So this is about when I think Richard Allen made his move. The girls are about halfway across, and then from the woods, he comes after them. All right, now up here, we have Betsy Blair. I believe she went over to the Freedom Bridge, walked back, and is about to get to her car. If we go back down here, here's Richard Allen. And Libby turns the video on her camera and films the bridge guy coming at them at 2:13. And again, this is almost the exact same time that Betsy Blair gets in her vehicle and drives away. She passes the Hoosier Harvest Store at 2:14, which is right there. And at that point, that's already at the time when the bridge guy, Richard Allen, took out his gun, put a bolt in the chamber, said, told the girls down the hill after he first greeted them saying, guys, and Libby says something like, hey, and then they're wondering which way to go, etc. And then Abby says, he's got a gun. Is that a gun? And then he says, down the hill. And then he forces the girls to go across. Now, what's really creepy about this is at that moment, Abby, Libby, and Richard Allen are the only people in the entire park at this time. Now, later, other people start showing up. Derek got there at 3:15. An individual named Cheyenne, she came out there, a couple of her friends. They were walking around, the flannel shirt guy. And then Derek got there at like 3:15. He walked down the 505 trail, came back up this direction, and then he walked back over here to the Freedom Bridge, and then he made his way back over here at 4 o'clock. He never saw the bridge guy. Okay, he never saw him. And that's because Richard Allen took the two girls off over here and he killed them on the north side of Deer Creek, just below Ron Logan's property. All right. So explain to me out there, if you're not a defender of Richard Allen being the guy and you think this is all just made up stuff, you explain this to me. How in the hell is this not Richard Allen? Let's go back and just do this again. Richard Allen, his vehicle drives right by the Hoosier Harvest Store at 1:27. He gets out, walks on the trail, passes three girls. They saw him. He saw them. Verifiably, he got there at 1:34-ish. Then he walks down the trail, and then he gets to the bridge, and he even says he's standing on platform 1 looking at fish. Betsy Blair described the person she saw as him standing on platform 1, and she was 50 feet away and then turned around. Her description of it is of a younger person, but she was 50 feet away, and it would have been from the side because he's standing on platform 1 looking at fish. All right, so Richard Allen is there. Betsy Blair gets there, walks down to the bridge, like I just said, turns around, and then passes Abby and Libby, who had just been dropped off at 1:49-ish. Then Betsy Blair continues to walk all the way around. We can just watch it right here. Maybe goes to the Freedom Bridge, comes back. The timing of that is absolutely perfect for her getting back to her vehicle at like 2:12. And then right here is Richard Allen having the girls go down the hill, and then he forces them across right there. If it's not Richard Allen, where did he go? Betsy Blair also serves as a clearing agent. When she's walking, she does not see anybody that looks like the bridge guy in any of this area right here. That's her. Abby and Libby aren't alive, so they can't tell us the answer to that question. Betsy Blair walked and only saw him right there. Then she walked all the way back the other direction, all the way back to perhaps the Freedom Bridge, and then turns around and walks back this direction again and doesn't see him at all. So why didn't she see him at all during that time? The three girls didn't see him from 12:43 until 1:40, but it was probably much earlier than that they got to the bridge. So they walked down the whole length of the trail. They didn't see him at all. They only saw him when he was coming in at 1:30. I think the evidence is really clear in this case that Richard Allen has to be the bridge guy. There's absolutely no escaping that. Now, you might think, okay, that doesn't prove he's a killer. Okay, I concede to that part. Okay, that I can say, I don't know if he's the killer 100%. I just know he's the one that kidnapped them, and that led to their death, and that would be felony murder. However, there's no information that there's another person involved. In fact, they have a bullet that was found at the scene that was ejected from Richard Allen's gun found at the scene. So that places him there. Apparently, there is some level of DNA they found there with not very many markers. Now, if those markers match Richard Allen's and it does not exclude him, let's say, then that will be a really big piece of damning information as well. And you take those facts and the fact that he confessed multiple times in a phone call and apparently to many other people. Now, we might say that after he confessed once, that the defense team likely instructed him to confess to other people over and over again with false facts so that they would make it look like the original confession was also false.
But okay. You don't have any proof of that, though.
No.
You don't have any proof of that. Like, why would you say that? The defense team. So now you're saying that these lawyers are trying to have him lie on purpose? Like, do you have any proof of that? I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. We don't know that.
We don't know the and there wasn't, I'm sure I don't know when he made this. I can't. But
you want to date on this?
There was
4 weeks ago.
Okay. So that was like right when the trial was first starting. There's no DNA. His DNA has not been found. I don't know how he managed that. Or how anyone
I'm also
managed it.
getting word that the picture of Abby has now come into question. It was not found on Libby's phone like the rest of the photos. The investigator says he obtained that picture from the internet. And Betsy Blair also went to use the restroom during that time.
On the bridge?
I guess in between before she left or something. I'm not sure. Oh, since the trial, the DNA was the sister's hair. That's right. I did hear that.
And it was in her hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
which that could have been like on,
on her pants, anything.
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're done with this. It was her sister's jacket. Okay, so that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so there's just again, I want to be sure. I mean, we all do. We all want to be sure.
Well, because there's some people who, maybe they think they're sure. Maybe they think, but right, Buttered Crumpet. That's what I keep, because I don't think it was planned, and because how would it be?
Right.
And no DNA anywhere.
Did this every day.
Right.
So he just kind of happy. I know, Pammy B. Me too.
Me too. Yeah. I do. So I tried to look up his confessions, but we've got our buddy Vinny talking about the confessions. Can they be trusted?
Yeah, let's listen.
Okay.
No DNA is my biggest problem. Yes.
Me too.
Yes, we Teds. That's how I feel too. Like there's so much. And Asher's being very protective. She's protecting me from the lawnmower outside. Thank you, Asher. Appreciate you.
Okay, here's 9 disturbing details from Richard Allen Confessions. I think this will be a good one.
Trial. Hear witness after witness recall how he told them he killed Libby German and Abby Williams. I'll take you inside the courtroom with the testimony about Allen's alleged admissions. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. I killed Abby and Libby. That's just one of the admissions jurors heard from a witness in Richard Allen's double murder trial in Delphi, Indiana. Prosecutors have claimed that Richard Allen made 60 incriminating statements about the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams after his arrest. Lauren Mathias with the Hidden True Crime YouTube channel will join me soon to talk about the testimony from the courtroom. Before his arrest, Allen was adamant in interviews with law enforcement that he did not kill Abby and Libby, and even said to Jerry Holman, one of the investigators on the case, quote, "I don't care what you do to me. I'm not going to ever confess to something I didn't do." Now, you could take that one of two ways. Prosecutors will say it shows Richard Allen's confessions are true, that he told you he would never confess to something he didn't do. But the defense has argued that Allen was in solitary confinement in a prison and that it was impacting his mental health and that he was ranting and saying things that simply weren't true. The testimony about Allen's admissions to the crime began with the warden of the prison. His name is John Gallipo, and there were also prison guards who testified. Gallipo said in March of 2023, Allen wrote that he wanted to confess to the murders. "I am ready to officially confess to killing Abby and Libby. I hope I get the opportunity to tell the families I'm sorry." That is what Gallipo said that Allen wrote. Gallipo also said Allen admitted to throwing a box cutter out in a dumpster at the CVS store where he worked in Delphi, Indiana. The warden testified that Allen was quiet for his first month at the Westville prison, but then started acting erratically after receiving mail from his lawyers. That behavior included drinking out of a toilet, eating his own feces, and eating paper. Corrections officers also testified about Allen confessing to killing Abby and Libby while on suicide watch. The corrections officers acted as suicide companions sitting outside of his cell. Officer Michael Clemens documented Allen saying, quote, "I'm so glad no one gave up on me after I killed Abby and Libby. And I, Richard Matthew Allen, killed Abby and Libby by myself. No one helped me." Clemens also said that Allen would yell to other inmates, quote, "I'm not crazy. I'm only acting like I'm crazy." On cross-examination, Allen's attorney, Brad Rosie, asked Clemens whether prison can get to a man, and Clemens admitted that it certainly can. Another corrections officer said that Allen confessed to him in April of 2023, and Allen actually said he believed coming to prison cured him of his depression and anxiety. The jury also heard from Allen's prison psychologist, Dr. Monica Walla. Dr. Walla is a somewhat controversial witness because she admitted to following the case in her personal time. Dr. Wallace said that Allen said that the morning of the murders, Allen left his mother's home, bought a 6-pack of beer, drank 3 of those beers, and then went to the trail. Dr. Wallace said Allen said that he saw Abby and Libby on the trail and then followed them, and he did something to his gun, and that's when the bullet fell out. Dr. Wallace said that Allen told her he planned to rape the girls, but got spooked by a van and made them walk across the creek and then slit their throats, covering their bodies with branches, and then he left. Dr. Walla also...
See, that's the details they're talking about that only the killer would have known.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is big. I had never heard anything about branches.
I'd never heard how they died.
Yeah.
Also told the jury she believed Richard Allen was exaggerating the symptoms of severe mental illness like eating feces. And there's much more.
I believe he was faking eating feces. I'm sorry, I do. I don't believe that.
Really?
I do.
That's quite a thing to fake.
Well, that's how you're going to prove you're nuts. Eat your own poop.
Well,
much more.
I love that they threw in there that not only was he eating that, but he was eating paper. Like somehow those two are the same.
Yeah,
They're not the same.
No, It's okay to eat paper sometimes, you know?
I
Come
mean,
on.
you know, if you want to eat a little paper, okay, get a little fiber. The rest of it, no, not okay.
And
I don't
Lauren
know,
Matthias, she is the host of Hidden
Do it.
Buttered Crumpet. I thought about that too, but if that had been leaked, it would have been leaked it would have been news everywhere. This case, people have been talking about this case all over the place for years.
Yeah, and
I'm sure we would have heard
you
about it by now.
Mhm. I've never heard how they died, and I've never seen one video about how they were found, the clothes being swapped, all that stuff. You know, well, of course, I don't think he mentioned that, but there's a lot of stuff that they did keep to themselves, and I think that's what led him here. I do. I think him knowing yeah, I think it would have been way more out there, like you said, British Chippy, if it had been leaked. That's mm-mm. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
True crime along with her husband. So, Lauren, you've been in the courtroom for the duration. Let's start with kind of the beginning of the incriminating statements. And they start with Richard Allen apparently telling the warden at the prison, making an incriminating statement that he committed these crimes. There was some other talk with some other prison staff, and he said apparently that he committed these murders. He said that he killed Abby and Libby. He did it with a box cutter that he stole from CVS, and that he later threw the box cutter away, and that he claimed he did this because he wanted to sexually assault the girls. He got scared, he panicked, and then he murdered them.
And that was just the first of many alleged confessions that we heard that he gave to correction officers at the Westville Correction Facility while he stayed there. It was actually, we heard these confessions one by one coming in, starting with the warden, just boom, 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 boom. All were different, but all had these similar details to them.
Paul Berggren was the lawyer who could get you out of any sticky situation. Caught selling pirated videos like Queen Latifah? Caught stabbing your spouse 9 times with a steak knife? Better call Paul. We see lawyers like this in The Sopranos or Breaking Bad, but what happens when those fictional lawyers exist in the real world? Paul Berggren was a master lawyer who knew the system inside out. But when an FBI agent finds traces of Berggren's involvement in a massive drug ring, questions start to arise about how Paul achieved his dominance. In Wondery's true crime podcast, Criminal Attorney, host Jenks Jenkins will tell you the true story of how Paul Berggren went from representing others in court to representing himself. Follow Criminal Attorney on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also listen to Criminal Attorney early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus. So it starts with the warden. And it just seems so odd. And just to set the stage for this too, Richard Allen is in solitary confinement.
I was saying if it was going to a different story, I was going to stop it, but we're back to Richard now.
Called it safekeeping for his own protection because he's a high profile inmate, but he's in some pretty horrible conditions. I mean, solitary confinement is not fun. And so, I mean, he just tells this to the warden, which seems so bizarre. Did the warden explain how that came about?
Yeah, he did. And the warden also explained that one reason that he came to the facility was because he was on suicide watch and there were concerns about self-harm. Thus, he was monitored daily, and at intervals, every 15-minute intervals, there were companions that would assess him. But going back to the warden and what the warden stated, he said that he started confessing actually when he said the discovery came to him. The legal papers is what he referred to them at first. And then we got into understanding that what he meant by the legal papers were the discovery. And after that was received, confessions started, and they continued for alleged months after those legal papers arrived.
What are some of the other incriminating statements that he made? Because obviously he's saying, he's saying what the murder weapon would have been, which is he's claiming it was a box cutter. They had said they found a box cutter at his home, but he's saying, I guess, in this confession that he threw this thing out at the CVS. But what more did he say? What other detail did he offer about the crime? Detail that only the killer would know. That's what the prosecutor has said.
Yeah, one thing that came down today actually was from his psychologist. Dr. Walla, testified on the stand for the majority of the day today, and she shared that he told her that almost what you said verbatim, that he followed them. This is actually exactly what he said. He said that he was with his mom and dad, and they wanted to go to lunch. His sister was coming over. They wanted to go to lunch. He didn't want to go to lunch that day. It was an unusually warm February day, that February 13th. So he went and he got himself a 6-pack instead. He said that he drank 3 beers, and then he bundled up and he went to the trail that he parked in a discreet area and walked into the trail, saw the girls, followed them onto the bridge, and then told them essentially to go down the hill. He mentioned to Dr. Walla that that's when he believes he may have lost the bullet. That's actually not where the bullet was found, but this is what was stated on the stand today. And that he took the girls down the hill, and his plan was, as you mentioned, to sexually assault them. And then he realized their age, which was allegedly younger than he had thought, and that he saw at that moment a van. And at that moment, he says that he got scared and he killed them. And he also said in one confession that he took their lives to save his because he was selfish, and that he covered them with sticks. And then he left without going back on the trail where no one could see him. Now, what was interesting about that statement is this is the first time, today's statement, it was the first time that we heard about a van. And so what happened after we heard from Dr. Wallace state this? We then had a new witness come on the stand today, and his name was Brad Weber. Brad Weber states that he was coming home from work at that time. What did he drive? A white van. So we're learning that there may have been a van, and this was a part of the crime, or this was a witness that nobody had heard of and that nobody knew, that was written in this testimony. I think they're really going to try to emphasize that there was a white van driving by that Richard Allen may have seen. Of course, that's the prosecution's theory. We'll see if the jury takes that. One thing that's interesting is I was sitting next to a woman, public, that was there just as someone that was public and local. And I asked her, I said, what are you thinking? Because there's certainly a lot of theories out there, and not everyone is sold. Some people think Richard Allen is innocent. Some people think he is guilty. And I said, where are you after hearing all of these interviews? And she said, I think that this van, for me, she goes, it just sealed it for me. Oddly, on the other side, I asked another woman to my left, and I said, what are you thinking? And she said, I'm not sold until I hear audio. I just don't believe any of these confessions.
Yeah, the audio, you can really tell a lot by somebody's inflection, how they sound, that type of thing. And you know what I think is interesting as well? The prosecution's going to point to the van and say that is a corroborating detail. We have a witness that nobody knew about who's saying, yeah, I was coming home in this van. And they're going to say Richard Allen, that's something only the killer would know. Also, the thing about the sticks, and you described the sticks to us the last time you were here as being these ginormous, huge sticks. And that they were huge and that he put them on them. Another thing that I thought was interesting in this testimony as well was the fact that he's admitting he has this, I guess he has, or Dr. Wallace said he has major depressive disorder. He has anxiety. He talks about the fact that he had alcohol before he went out on the trail, which can loosen your inhibitions. I don't know if that'll be a piece of this or not, but he also said, apparently he revealed to her that he had been the victim of molestation and he had molested, I think, a sibling. So that's kind of an interesting piece of this puzzle as well.
Yes, he has now mentioned, he says what he calls a sex addiction, that he believes he has one of those, that it happened when he was younger. He gave many reasons why he believes it happened when he was younger, but he also referred to being molested by a family member himself. He mentioned a babysitter when he was 11. He mentioned possibly being raped as a child. And then he mentioned himself molesting, as you point out, a sibling. and then apologized not just for killing Abby and Livy, but allegedly molesting other people. And he named about 3 other names that nobody knows who they are.
Okay. Now, there's also been testimony about Richard Allen doing things that were just kind of, really gross. I mean, he was drinking out of the toilet. He was
That is who we need to step up. If he confessed to hurting other girls, it seems like they would have them on stand, right?
Well, he didn't do that to these 2 girls, though.
No.
So it's not even, he didn't sexually harm these 2 girls. Apparently, he got scared because of the white van that nobody knew about. And then it comes out that somebody was driving by in a white van. I mean, those are the kind of details that I need to hear if I'm going to believe this is guilty man, because the rest of it, is really iffy to me. They might not consider it relevant, or maybe they couldn't find the girls, or maybe he didn't even do them. Who knows what this guy's doing? Like, how do you believe any word that comes out of his mouth? Especially with all that crazy behavior. And I'm sorry, he's got the crazy eyes. Those eyes are terrifying.
He does.
Eating his own feces. He was doing all of these things that the prison guards testified to. Dr. Walla, though, I think was also saying she thought he was feigning some symptoms of mental illness as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, that was a question they asked every corrections officer that came in and testified, whether they felt that it was real, that he was, if he was experiencing psychosis. They asked Dr. Walla that too. And really, all of them stated that at some point they felt that he was acting up a little bit, that he was feigning. Another word that we might know as a layperson is faking it or trying to get attention. There were times actually, though, where she did diagnose him perhaps with some recurring psychosis, but many correction officers, as well as Dr. Wall, explained that, when you don't have a lot to do in the prison system and you want attention, that this is a way to get attention. What happens when you smear feces on your face? Well, you get to take a shower, right? You get someone called in, a mental health person. So there are reasons that a prisoner or an inmate, I should say, because an inmate there would possibly sort of exaggerate their symptoms. But of course, they also explained that he did have mental illness, and we learned that from Richard Allen himself in interrogation interviews that we saw yesterday. He explains from the very beginning, I have depression, I have anxiety. He came to the prison with these diagnoses, and so we know that he is suffering. We also know that there was a time he was actually put into a facility years ago after the murder and before he was brought to the Westville Corrections Facility as well. So what's going on, we don't know. But clearly there seems to be mental illness, but also prison officials who believe that he also may be over-exaggerating his symptoms.
Was there any talk about him finding God? Because we had heard that he found God, and
so basically, we don't know is what they're saying. We don't know. These could be real or he could be completely faking. All right, so I'm getting more messages because the person that was talking to me said that that information was leaked years ago. And I said, how do you know that? Where? And she said, first of all, the guy who found them, David Erickson, I'm probably not saying that right, Erskine, let things out. So he, I guess, let things out. The crime scene photos were leaked last year. The family said things until the judge issued a gag order. The medical examiner in a hearing this summer said that 2 knives were used. It wasn't until trial that the medical examiner said he thought it was a box cutter. The defense got him to admit that he came up with that after being visited by the investigators. So the medical examiner said it was 2 knives at first, then talks to the investigators and says, okay, yeah, maybe it was a box cutter. It was 1 branch and several sticks. He also said he killed his whole family. He said van. He didn't say white, which matters because when he was when he was sane in the interrogation, he stated that a van was in the lot at the time. Plus, this was written by Dr. Walla, the psychologist who was in all of those groups. I don't know what that means, but I don't know about that part. But did he also say he killed his whole family?
I think in one of his crazy rants, and that way,
Okay.
because look, I think he's faking the crazy.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
that's what they're saying too. That
Yeah.
some of the people. Yeah, I know. I haven't heard any of this either. That's why I'm sharing it with you, because this person is obviously very, very invested in this case,
hmm
knows a lot more than we do, and so I'm just giving you that perspective. I don't know if anything she's telling me is true. I don't believe she's lying. I just think that this is what she's telling me.
Yeah.
And I'm
And the
just
reason
letting
I
you
say
guys
that
know.
is simply if the stuff had been leaked, people would have known. And why did no one know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was ever put like if something like that were talked about by the family or the guy who found them in a small town or whatever, I would
Mhm.
imagine that somebody would end up getting that on the news at some point. Unless the police told them right away, don't say anything. We're trying to, flush this guy out.
Maybe, but why? But the thing is okay. If Richard Allen had heard, that's how they were found and that's how they were killed, then don't you think if he was going to confess, he would have made up a complete opposite story where they would know he didn't do it because he didn't even know how they died? But he didn't do that.
But if he were confessing, then he would say all of the correct details. If he's trying to
Right,
confess on purpose.
right. But if he was doing a fake, I'm crazy confession, I'm over here eating my duty, I'm wadding up paper and eating it, then I'm gonna confess, then he would get it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. All right, keep going.
Yeah. I'm just keeping all avenues open. I'm
No,
still
for sure, for sure. I don't have obviously I don't have a strong opinion. I
yeah.
want to know everything.
Now I'm leaning guilty, but it's just because this what I'm hearing
He
now.
wanted
I
to
don't
make things right by confessing.
Yes, he had a Bible in his cell. He before he went to prison, he actually said it in the interrogation video that he wasn't religious. Then he has extreme religiosity that actually Dr. Walla brought up, that he becomes very concerned with God, that he hopes to go to prison, that he's afraid he's not going to go to prison, that at one point, or heaven, excuse me, that he hopes to go to heaven. And at one point he's afraid he's not going to go to heaven. Another time he says that he wishes that or hopes that he'll burn in hell. He deserves to. He says that he would kill himself, but he's too big of a coward, and is always sort of referencing God, finding peace, that he didn't know how to get rid of his anxiety or depression until prison. That's a point too, where he says, you know what? I've actually found peace here. Who knew? And that's after an alleged confession again. But Dr. Wallace stated that this newfound religious viewpoint of Richard Allen's is actually really important when it comes to the psychology of inmates. And it can be a reason that some people behind bars do confess.
Very interesting. Lauren Matthias, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anjanette.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
well, I need detail and hard but me too, we Ted's mom, and that's why I wish that we could watch this trial. Too many coincidences for it to not be him. Unless they can come up with another person that was on the bridge that day. You're muted. Wendell.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me,
So,
Randy?
I can hear you. So day 15, have they broke for lunch? I don't know.
Yeah, we Teds. I'm the same. I want facts.
Why would he go on that one day to look at fish? Just doesn't make sense. He's from there, and he bundled up on a hot day.
Yeah, I said that too in the chat. I
Yeah,
think I said that.
yeah.
They said it was a unusually warm day, but he bundled up. I mean, did he go there looking for trouble? I mean, he couldn't have known that they were going to be there, or is that something the girls did often? Did he stake them out?
Right. How would because why those two girls and not the 3 that he passed? But maybe because that woman was on there? I'm starting to think he's guilty. It was
It
February,
was
right? Yes.
February, yes. Which is cold there, but they said that day it was warm.
Mhm.
But maybe still, warm for February could still be cold, I guess.
Okay. To get days and events in court, a good person to watch is Lauren of Hidden True Crime. I think I have some of her stuff on my playlist.
How long are we going to go today?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it.
Okay.
How long you think?
I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I just didn't know if we had a plan.
We don't even have a plug.
I'm not too hung on about that. It could be 40 and be called warm. Yeah, I was just gonna say, warm for February in that area, probably freezing to me.
Warm for February here would be 50.
Yeah.
In the 50s. And so in Indiana, it could be 40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did they post? Well, they did post that they were going because they were doing Snapchat the whole time, Carol Clark. And I guess I can't just assume, but I have a Snapchat. I haven't used it in years because I don't freaking understand it. But maybe he understood Snapchat and followed them. If you want to be confused, knowing they'd be there. Google
But wouldn't that
Anthony.
be on their accounts? I guess unless he unfollowed them right away.
He could have unfollowed them. He could have a secret. I don't know. But yeah, I guess it would. I mean, I thought Snapchat went right away, and they're pulling all this up from Snapchat. Maybe the cops could get it. Walking to the end of the
Maybe,
trail.
yeah.
No one else was around, so we followed them. Lisa, yeah, because there's a part of me that says he didn't know who the girls were. He didn't care who the girls were. He just had perverted intentions.
But he ran into 3 other girls before he saw them.
And a woman.
And he didn't touch any of them.
Mm-mm.
His daughter looks a lot like Libby. Oh, that's scary.
Oh. Opportunity is what I'm thinking, Stadius. That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Opportunity. He had a plan to do something. In my opinion, he had a plan of doing something not good that day. Because why else would he have gotten a box cutter? And I'm telling the cut of a box cutter and the cut of a knife, there's not really a difference. It's just a sharp,
Yeah.
I've used a million box cutters. Unless it's a jagged knife, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
This is gonna be an absolute mess. I think so too, except
She's
if
talking
he's
about the
innocent.
election, actually.
Oh, hey, Dan. Good to see you.
And yes, that is going to be an absolute mess.
Yeah. But make sure you vote.
Yeah.
You can't bitch if you don't vote.
Agree. He probably felt like he couldn't handle 3 of them. Yeah, that's probably true, Steadius.
I don't know.
No, Bridge Tippy, no, it's okay. Don't worry, honey. You already voted? Good. Okay. All right, I need to excuse myself for a second. I'll be right back, though.
Okay. They're on. Okay, let's read some of these. It's a good one. Oh. Yeah, I just don't know. Oh, I forgot I had this pulled up. When Wendy gets back, I do have the voice comparison. Yep, Lisa, yep, I have it pulled up, ready to share, so. Guilty, not guilty. Reasonable doubt. Last one for me at the moment. There is reasonable doubt, but if the judge is against the prosecution, we all know how that can go too. So it's I mean, it can totally not be fair. Hey, Debbie. Jove. I don't know. I wish I had some kind of, I think this, I think this, I think this. Yes, Stadius. But then again, I have to think, why was he on the bridge? I'm going to repeat myself. Why was he on the bridge? Why that day? Why was he looking at fish? That makes no sense. No sense. It would seem like him being from there, he would know what the fish look like around. Hey, Renee, good morning. I don't envy the jurors either. It's also hard for me to believe that they found jurors that never heard of this case. And it's, to me, the confession where he said, I saw how young they were. I didn't realize it. Then I saw the white van or the van, whatever. To me, it doesn't matter. He saw a van. But, in his recorded statements, which I wish they would play, he said white van, they said. And there was a white van there. And he panicked and killed him. And somehow, in some way, he got them to removed their clothes. They went through water. And one of the little girls had the other one's clothes on. Oh, I didn't know they were allowed to ask questions. I love that too. Too bad we can't hear them. Because I would love to. Oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Hey, Marie Duffy, good to see you. I'm doing good, Doodle. How are you? You wish they got this judge out? Yeah. I don't think he cared who wore what. I think it was something that you had to do fast, that he got spooked, tried to make him get dressed fast. I think that wet clothes are just about impossible to put back on, and that's why they grabbed what they could get on. Because I mean, well, get your clothes wet and then try to put your jeans back on. You think there will be an appeal on this one? I don't know. Why would okay. So he was mentally ill and he confessed. So now he's going to they've got him on the right medicines and he didn't do it? Does hmm. But he wants to go to heaven. Yeah, but they seem to not all go through. You know what I mean, Debbie? They try to appeal, but you never hear of them again.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So I do have.
All right.
I texted you. And I do have the voice comparisons pulled up. I think that'd be good to listen to.
Okay.
It could make it or break it.
Okay.
Chips, man. There's more stuff coming up. Guys, chips, man. Downhill. Chips, man. Guys, chips, man. Downhill. Chips, man. Downhill. Chips, man. Downhill. Chips, man. Downhill. There's more stuff coming up. Guys, there's more stuff coming up. Guys, there's more stuff coming up. Guys, chips, man. Downhill. There's more stuff coming up. Guys, chips, man. Guys, chips, man. Downhill. There's more stuff coming up. Downhill. There's more stuff coming up. Downhill. 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 Coming up. Guys, chips, man. Guys, chips, man. Guys, chips, man. Guys, chips, man. Guys, downhill. There's more stuff coming up. 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 Downhill. Chips.
Wendy?
Sounds the same to me.
It does?
It does to me.
I'll keep playing it.
I'm
not sure.
It sounds very much the same to me.
It's creepy too, huh?
Yeah.
Snap. Guys. Cable snap. Guys. Cable snap. Guys. Cable snap. Guys. Cable snap. Guys. There's the word truck coming up. Guys. There's the word truck coming up. Guys. There's the word truck coming up. Downhill. Cable snap. Downhill. Cable snap.
I think that's him. I wonder where she got this video of him. These videos.
Downhill. Cable snap. Downhill. There's the word truck coming up. Downhill. There's the word truck coming up. Downhill. There's the word truck coming up. Downhill. 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 Coming up. Guys. There's the word truck. Guys. There's the word truck. Guys. There's the word truck. Guys. There's the word truck coming up. Downhill. There's the word truck coming up. Downhill. Cable snap. Downhill. Cable snap. Downhill.
That sounds the same to me.
Yeah.
That's the strongest evidence I've seen yet.
All right, let's see what. what the chat says. Y'all? No, me either, Steadies. I didn't hear any. That was pretty strong. Kind of gave me the creeps, though.
Obviously, if we had more, it would be better. But and would any male voice sound the same with that tiny of a clip? Possibly. But it did sound the same to me.
They're not machines. No, they can only do voice comparisons. I don't think there's a machine that says, for sure. I don't think. That's probably as close because the downhill, didn't they? What is it? They cleaned it up so people could hear it better. I want to say zoomed in on it. Y'all know what I mean. Now, what we could do until 1 is listen to the opening statement thing.
Okay.
Okay.
I have that. There's nothing on it except the audio, but hopefully it'll be worth a listen.
Yeah, it's good. I listened to some of it, not all of it.
Content warning. This episode contains discussion of the murder of 2 girls. So I guess we just experienced the first day of the Delphi murders trial. We've been waiting for this day in some ways for a very long time. And today we experienced it. I guess we kind of experienced it over the course of several days, right?
Yes.
But this is the start of it all. And we saw opening statements from the parties and a few witness testimonies,
Including some very significant ones, family members.
Absolutely.
They're the ones who care more about this case than any of the rest of us because it is their loved ones.
Absolutely.
And we have not been able to hear from them for a long time because of this gag order.
Right.
So it was nice to give them a chance to speak and hear their voices today. And we're going to talk about that and some other stuff too.
Absolutely. My name is Anya Kane. I'm a journalist.
And I'm Kevin Greenlee. I'm an attorney.
And this is The Murder Sheet.
We're a true crime podcast focused on original reporting, interviews, and deep dives into murder cases. We're The Murder Sheet.
And this is The Delphi Murders. Richard Allen on trial. Day 1. Opening statements and more.
So I don't want us to make a habit of this, Anya. I think for the second episode in a row, we're going to start by complaining about public access.
Somebody's gotta say something.
So last night, there started being reports about people camping out to attend the first day of trial as early as 8 p.m. And we wanted to bring the information about this trial to you. So we ended up getting there around, I believe, 11 p.m. last night.
We did.
A full 9 hours before the court opened. And we were like 12th in line, I think, 11th,
Yeah.
12th in line. And it was a night where I came below freezing, and it was very, very unpleasant.
It was very cold out.
And it makes me reflect on the fact that the reason Judge Gull indicated that she wanted the trial to be in Carroll County was because she thought it was important for people from Carroll County to attend, and she thought it was important for family members to attend. But the way this is set up, the family members are not getting enough seats. There are family members of the victims who have literally been to every single pretrial hearing who aren't being given seats for this.
Mhm.
And if the only way to get access is to give up sleep and stand out in the freezing cold for a chance of getting one of the handful of seats that are available, that's not really a meaningful way to get access. And what if you are an older person like me, or what if you have some sort of health issue or you're in a wheelchair or something
Yeah.
like that, then even the option of standing out in line all night in the freezing cold, that's not available to you.
Yeah.
So this just underscores, I think this is an embarrassment. I think it's an embarrassment, and it is very wrong. There are so many easy things that could have been done that could have opened this up to a lot more people a lot more easily. One thing that comes to mind just off the top of my head is they could have said maybe the courtroom is just for family, but then maybe have some kind of a video or audio feed, closed circuit, that goes to another room with plenty of seating to be made available for media members of the public.
Yeah, like an auditorium somewhere. I mean, I feel like that
Agree.
could have been rigged up. Is any solution perfect? No. Would almost anything be better than what we're experiencing? Yes.
And while we're on the topic, let's jump ahead briefly. Anya, tell us what we learned today about breaks.
Well, yeah, we learned something. So, it turns out that if you get up, well, I mean, listen, this is just what we experience. There's often a lot of conflicting information going on that is being given to people here, so I guess keep that in mind. So, what our understanding was when you get up during a break, like if you go to the restroom or go for a walk or whatnot, unlike all the pretrial hearings, you then can't get back in the room. And at one point, we were sort of blocked, and it was almost implied that they were going to then open it up to all the people who hadn't made it in that morning, even though our stuff and our bags and all our stuff is like in the room. So that was bizarre. It got worse at lunch. At lunch, it was made clear. It actually was not made clear. At lunch, everyone was dismissed. Then one of the deputies started saying, everyone get your stuff out of the courtroom. It's being cleared. You need to get your stuff out and then get back in line. So we had to wait in line to get into the courthouse. And then, you think, okay, these are our seats for the day. No, at noon, it all starts anew. So here are your options. You go out for lunch like a lot of people needed to do because they're human beings who need to eat and consume nutrients in order to live and hydrate. Or you could be nuts like we are and get back in line, which is what we did.
And we just barely got back in.
We did not eat or drink anything. And actually, a nice lady gave you a water bottle, so thank you to her. And but other than that, we barely got in. So we barely got into the afternoon session. So let me just be clear. Obviously, it would be my preference that the people who come in first have the seats for the whole day. That being said, if you're going to open it up anew, maybe you want to get the most people in and you feel like that's the fairest way. I think it's stupid, but whatever. Let's just say we're doing that. This is where it got even more chaotic. So we line up, we're in this line, everyone's tense, everyone's like looking daggers at each other, like, don't you dare move or don't you dare run for the thing. Like, it's like everyone's like, it's like a standoff, you know what I mean? It's like something out of a Sergio Leone film. Like, we're all like, like screeching falcons in the background. And then you have this deputy come out, and let me just be very clear. Let me just be so clear about something. A lot of these deputies are folks from different counties. They don't know what's going on, and it's not their fault. They're there to keep everyone safe and to do what they're told. And they're trying their best. They're just not given a lot to work with here because they're basically being told to do things and convey conflicting messages to everyone. It's not their fault. No one should be getting mad at them or frustrated with them. They're just in a bad situation along with everyone else. So I just want to make that very clear. So they come up and they say, actually, we need to clear the third floor because we need to remove Richard Allen. Okay, well, that seems fair. So then after a lot of negotiating, this line travels backwards downstairs. But of course, there's some people kind of like edging off to the side. Like, no one really knows, like maybe the people are just going to run for it. Eventually, somehow this lasts and we make it back upstairs in one piece as a line. And you and I barely got in. A lot of people behind us did not get in. And as we were waiting to finally get in, who walks past us? Richard Allen. So the rule about like moving him around without us on the floor obviously was not like consistently conveyed to everyone. So this is a situation where it's just like, here's what I'm going to suggest. And no one's going to listen to me.
Come on, get to the opening statement.
You're not even listening. I'm just rambling. I'm sure the listeners aren't listening, but here's the thought. If you want to have an afternoon session, have a little spot on the second floor where people line up in order to get in line.
Need a house she owned.
Yeah,
and
maybe
she could stipulate that, yes, I
when
do
they
own
start
that
talking
house.
about the opening
And if she
statement.
doesn't stipulate to that, the prosecution would have to go and get bank records and things of that nature. So this is basically a good thing. When the teams agree to that certain things are true, that means the trial itself is going to be a little bit shorter. There's less things to prove.
Right. Exactly. Which is helpful. In this case, it's already a long trial. So having some areas where everyone can agree and we can kind of move along quickly, I think makes sense.
And then she made some rulings you want to discuss?
Well, I will say one thing that was interesting breaking down, I think, the elements, and I want to do this for the audience because I thought it was helpful in the way to think about some of these things. If that's okay, Kevin.
Okay.
She talked about like the definitions of kind of the murder and the felony murder.
Well, can I
oh yeah, go ahead.
She had some motions before.
Before she got to that. Oh, I thought. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm blurring things together.
We got 2 hours sleep, folks.
I'm just normally like this. In fairness, it's not much of a change.
There was an outstanding motion on whether or not sketches would be allowed.
Sketches are out.
Sketches.
I'm not surprised given how things went the other day, and also she indicated that she, was going to probably do that. So sketches are out. The sketches are not going to be used at trial at all. I think I had mixed feelings about this generally. I kind of felt like, well, seems reasonable for the defense to raise those issues. But I also understood McClellan's take that the sketches weren't even used to identify Richard Allen. So what really role did they play? Yeah. And they can certainly cross-examine witness Betsy Blair, who described seeing
the sketches to me are reasonable doubt right there. But whatever.
a younger man, so they can still get that in front of the jury. It's just they're
not
gonna have a sketch to look at.
And then Rosie said, well, there's another outstanding motion. Are we going to be allowed to have our expert, Bill Tobin, testify? And she said it got too late last night for her to read the information on that, but she'd do it soon and make a ruling on that matter soon. And then she made the point, this is kind of a truism in law, but it's always worth repeating. The first thing that was going to happen after the definitions that Anya's going to discuss in a moment is going to be the opening statements. And she just reminded everyone that the opening statements is not an argument and it's not evidence. It's just a preview of what evidence is expected to show. So basically what that means is
yes, and that's why
the lawyers,
although it sounds like stuff like that can happen. I don't know.
He says in the middle of the investigation,
you don't think they're going to make us listen to this whole ass thing without the opening statements, are they right?
I'm getting a little worried.
Me too.
I'm not talking crap because this is us, literally.
Right, I know, but I just wanted to hear the opening statements.
Me too.
The Indiana State Police kicked out the FBI, and he said the FBI had digital forensic people who could have given the phone a much better analysis, but he doesn't explain what they would have found. I think I told you what I think he was getting at.
I agree with you, yeah.
And then he's talking about the last 2 days where he says law enforcement was scrambling. And this is a callback to a couple of days ago, the second day of jury selection, where he revealed that there was a hair in Abby's hand that was not Richard Allen's. And so
we learned more about that.
We learned that it was a female hair.
Which frankly immediately makes it significantly less interesting to me.
Well, and we already know that that's her sister, so I guess there's nothing on this.
No, I thought they were going to get into detail about evidence that was presented in the opening statement.
Yes, that's what I was hoping, because it says opening statements and more.
And I think what he was trying to get up at there was, well, if Libby was actually killed in the afternoon, why didn't she yell and scream and make noise that would have been heard by others? And as you indicated, people are terrified when someone has a gun on them. And then also the nature of the wounds that killed her were to her throat, which obviously would have severely impacted her ability to do that.
If someone has a gun on you and they tell you not to scream, maybe in some cases you scream anyway because you think you're going to die. And maybe in other cases, you think, if I comply with whatever this is, I will live. So I feel like sometimes this defense talks in absolutes. Like, if no one screamed, then they must have been kidnapped. Or maybe they just didn't scream. It's really not that hard for me to imagine that scenario. For them to kind of put so much weight on some sort of vague hypothetical where you can immediately see the other side is, I don't know.
That was
kind of weak.
And they said on the night of the search, didn't see a lot of people out searching didn't see a lot of people out searching. Some people saw flashlights. So I don't know if he was trying to suggest there that, gosh, there were so many searchers. If the bodies were there, they would have been discovered.
That's what I thought he was trying to suggest.
Or is he trying to search? Oh, maybe the people who were searching, who spotted the flashlights, maybe the flashlights were of the people moving the bodies.
I really hope it's the first one, because that is at least a little bit, I can understand. And I think it's, like, hey, if a lot of people were in this area looking, why didn't they find them? I mean, I think when you're in the dark and cold and people are just kind of scrambling around, then that's actually not that surprising to me, but I can understand raising that. And if you can say, hey, they were in this area, why didn't, we can kind of, look over where they were and sort of show maybe they should have found them. But if it's like, oh, maybe the flashlights were the real killers. I don't know. I mean, maybe they have more and they'll be able to build this out. That's all I'll say.
Next witness was Kelsey Siebert,
Siebert.
previously known as Kelsey German. She also talked about her also being very close to her sister, and she talked that her sister Libby was very close to Abby.
Yes, and she and her sister went over the bridge together once, and Libby was very brave about it. Kelsey said it made her feel silly for being so scared, and it's a scary bridge, but
she said it wasn't unusual for her to take them down to the trails. It felt like it was a safe place. She talked about when she was in the car taking the girls, they were talking. They took some pictures inside the car and actually posted them that day. Prosecutor Diener, who did a great job with all these witnesses.
She did a really great job. She was thorough and sensitive, and I felt like she just kind of kept things moving and getting all the relevant information that she needed to get.
She brought out a large map that was displayed and had Kelsey say, okay, well, here's exactly where I dropped them off.
Yes.
She dropped them off at the Mears entrance to the trail.
That's right, with the Mears farm right there.
She said it has a very small entrance / parking area, almost like a driveway than a traditional parking lot. She indicated, maybe 2 cars can park there. Kelsey just kind of pulled in and dropped the girls and then off, and then she left.
There you go. Yeah.
She talked about her learning that the girls were missing. She goes to the Monon High Bridge and she walks across the bridge with her uncle Cody.
Yeah, they're calling for Libby. Yeah,
looking for Libby.
And yeah,
people have wondered. They say the search seemed to focus on one direction from the bridge instead of 2 directions. And she said that her understanding was the search mainly focused on one direction because they were searching in the direction towards the house where Abby lived, because their theory was that if something had happened to the girls and they were still able to move, they would be heading towards Abby's home, which my understanding wasn't terribly far away.
Yeah, so they're like using some logic on that to be like, oh, maybe that's the most likely scenario, which makes sense when you're in that situation.
Then there was a moment.
Did she go through like some weird, like they had some like almost like video where there's.
I'm about to talk about this.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a moment that was, I think, more upsetting to me than maybe anyone else in the courtroom. They showed on this screen. They had Kelsey stand in front of this screen where basically this is the last walk of the girls, because they showed a video. Here's what it's like to be dropped off at Mears and go on these trails and walk to the bridge. And something about seeing Kelsey standing there, watching this virtually the last walk her sister ever took, that was upsetting to me.
I didn't even think about it like that, but you're right.
Yeah, that must have been heartbreaking.
It had to be.
That must have been heart-wrenching for her to see that. Here's where you dropped them off, and here's the last thing they ever saw.
All right.
That's horrible. Jeez.
There have been some changes made to the high bridge, so they had Kelsey describe here's how it's different from how it used to be.
Well, it was good. I was glad they had. I mean, that's a horrifying thought. I think it's good that the jury can. It was a very detailed sort of like video, I think, and I feel like that's necessary, especially since the defense withdrew their request to take the jury on a field trip to the murder site in that whole area. It sounds like they have some technology that can kind of take them through some of these things that might be hard to imagine.
And she found out because she heard someone yell that the girls had been found. And then it was Baldwin's turn to cross-examine. But before he began, there was kind of an odd incident in the courtroom.
Yeah, there was a pretty surprising incident.
Tell us about it.
So a member of the public seating stood up and yelled that the microphone was not pointed enough toward the witness. Now,
that was true.
That was true. This now, tell me if I'm right or wrong. For some reason, I thought like oftentimes the microphones in courthouses are more for the court reporter than the public.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not functioning in the way that people might think it is, the way it looks. That being said, it would be nice to hear more, but at the same time, a lot of the witnesses are more soft-spoken and it can be harder to hear in the back. And this was obviously, not.
It was an odd incident.
It was really odd. The woman repeated it, and Judge Gull was very unhappy. You might be surprised. No one was thrown out. Judge Gull just advised the person to sit down.
So Baldwin's cross-examination, he asked Kelsey, well, were you in the courtroom when your grandmother testified? And Kelsey wasn't, because there was a separation of witnesses situation going on. And so then once Baldwin got that answer, he asked Kelsey basically the very same questions he asked her grandmother, would Libby always stand up for others? Did she have a loud voice?
Yeah. And then one interesting moment came about the hair again, where he asked her, so the hair. So Abby was wearing a swim sweatshirt. It's like a swim team sweatshirt that belonged to Libby, and he made some comment about, like, isn't it odd that was like a relatively new sweatshirt, maybe even never worn, and it still had possibly your hair on it. How would that even be possible? Well, you wouldn't expect that to be inside of it. And Kelsey responded by pointing out that it had been washed, and that it could have been from that process that it got some hair tangled up in it.
And
I was a bit disappointed with the hair. I'm not surprised, because I would have thought like some sort of like unidentified significant hair to me.
Sorry.
That the girls didn't
Sorry, go
scream.
ahead.
They're trying to make a
They're
big
trying to
deal
make a
that
big deal that what?
that the girls weren't screaming.
Well, I mean, how could they scream if they're
Somebody's holding a gun to you, and they say, if you scream, I'll shoot. You're not going to
right?
scream.
No, you're not. And then sadly, if your neck is damaged, you're not going to be able to do much screaming either.
No. I find that
So,
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Agree.
To me is like,
But
if it's like someone,
I do like that we're getting into some testimony at least.
Someone's clutching a bloody hair, then that's super relevant, and like, oh my gosh, that could change everything. If like a single hair is like on somebody's body, that doesn't that kind of contamination would be pretty common. And I wouldn't, if there were other things, then that could be significant, but like that alone is not that much of a gotcha. And I guess I was just surprised by the way they handled this, because I hadn't even thought that they've already told the jury about this, and they made it sound like a huge deal, and now it's kind of like coming out that it's probably not. And that maybe it can just be like used to beat up the cops and be like, oh, well, law enforcement scrambling. Yeah, but it doesn't really sound like that big of a deal in terms of like the actual evidentiary value, because it sounds like it's just from Libby's family. I wouldn't bring it up again. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Next, anything more to say about?
No, I think one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead, ladies first.
No, I wanted to say something weird. So whenever they sidebar now, there's like this big, like weird white noise sound that plays in the courtroom, like we're all trying to like fall asleep or something. That's like how they disguise the sidebar on the side.
Yeah, they
so
did
no one's listening. So
for-
that's always weird. Like you'll be sitting there and suddenly it's like, shh.
Yeah,
we were already tired.
Yeah, I was literally like, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep now.
So this won't surprise anyone who heard Becky Patty or Kelsey German speak in the days before the gag order was issued, because you all know that they are very articulate and intelligent women. They did a great job.
Yes.
I don't think I had ever heard Liberty and Kelsey's father, Derek German, before. Had you?
No, I don't think so.
He also, maybe we shouldn't be surprised, he also was a very articulate man. He was a very strong witness, in my opinion.
He was, yeah.
I don't think he testified quite as long, because by this point, a lot of this had become repetitive. But he talked about Libby preferred texting to phone calls. He said that Libby and Abby spent a lot of time together in the spring, in 2016 through 2017. And he talked about February 13th. He was driving to a real estate appraisal job for his mother, and he got this call from Libby asking him to pick her and Abby up. And he agreed to do so. And when he got to the area, he called Liberty when he was a few minutes away, and she did not answer the line.
Mm-hmm.
And he called when he got there, and she didn't answer. And his first thing he did was he parked and he started walking the trails looking for his daughter and her best friend. And he didn't cross the bridge, but there were kids on bridge. They hadn't seen the girls.
Yeah. Kids on the bridge, yeah.
Baldwin cross-examined him. He talked about Yeah, he asked
The
about the
searches.
flashlights and the searchers.
Yeah, the searches. That's going to be a big thing for them, and they're just trying to establish that sort of reasonable doubt via the idea that the girls, I get the sense, and this is something I understand can happen with like cold environments. It sounds like based on what the defense is doing that there's no set time of death. And again, like I think that when bodies are left overnight, there's cold temperatures that can be complicated. And like perhaps it would be inaccurate to say they were definitely killed at X time. So that gives the defense some help because it gives them some leeway, and they could say, well, listen, if we don't know they were killed in the afternoon, why couldn't they have been killed later? And maybe if they were, maybe we do have an alibi for our client. So it makes sense that they're trying to kind of play with that. And I mean, that could be a good strategy for them. And I think that's where all the flashlights are coming in. But I think, that could be a good strategy that could be fruitful for them in terms of getting to reasonable doubt. But at the same time, some of their ideas around like what could have happened sound kind of unrealistic to me personally.
You want to talk about the next witness?
Was the next one Anna Williams. So Anna Williams is the mother of Abigail Williams, and she came in to testify as well. And like I don't know, like I remember when one thing that struck me immediately was like when they had her, one of Stacey Diener's first questions was just like, are you Abigail's mom? And she just, like the way she smiled when she said, yes, I am. I don't know. It just broke my heart. It's like she's proud and happy to be that. I don't know. I'm not like making sense. I'm just,
There was also a moment.
it was just like, there was something like, it's just, she really was very eloquent, and it made me so sad.
There was a moment when Diener asked Anna Williams, can you describe Abigail to someone who didn't know her? And Anna just started crying.
And that was really sad.
She said that Abby was funny, she was smart, she was quiet, she was
kind,
reserved, she was shy, she was kind.
You could tell with all these people, with all these family members, but you could tell with Anna Williams that, she really misses Abby. And it was hard to, it's like, it's so weird because it's like this kind of at some level cold and clinical legal process for everyone, but it's dealing with people's worst memories and like, I don't know, like heartbreak ultimately. And it's just, I guess it's just weird, because he's like, on one hand, this is all this like legal jargon and people arguing, and then it's like this.
Yeah, she said she and Abby were close. She talked about, her last moments with Abby, giving her permission to go and spend time over at the Patty family. And Becky, Patty showed up at her workplace around 5:30.
I think she managed to get her on the phone right as she was arriving, right?
Well, she said that Becky, it turned out, had tried to call her at least 3 times before, and she told her the girls were missing. And Anna initially didn't think it was a big deal, but of course, it turned out to be the tragedy we all know about.
Anna had an experience, she'd said, where she was supposed to drop off some money for some school thing, and she was supposed to meet Abby, and the girls were like watching a high school swim meet or something. And so Abby didn't come out and meet her where she was supposed to. And so she went home and then went back and kind of asked a few parents, and then they sent Abby and Libby out to her. So it was like, there was like that brief moment where she was missing, but it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, but she talked to her about like, you need to be where you say you're going to be. But that, obviously a pretty minor incident, not a big deal. But I think, she may have been thinking back to that situation.
And the cross-examination by Andrew Baldwin, again, describe Abby's voice. Did her voice get high-pitched when she was excited?
I mean, one thing I was thinking, like, do you think they have like some interesting possible like ear witness sort of thing that they're going to kind of pull out to be like, oh, maybe.
I can tell you, I remember vaguely hearing crazy rumors that there was some sort of yelling going on in the middle of the night. And there's a lot of stuff that pops up on the internet that's not true. And I was never able to verify it. And I never even verified it to the level where I may not even have mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
But that may be what it's referring to.
Yeah. I mean, I was curious. I mean, because obviously that would bolster it more, but also when something could be anything, like yelling could be, if we're sitting right here and then people are yelling outside, it could be
some friends joking around, people arguing with each other, an abduction, like it could be anything. So I kind of feel like that kind of thing is like, you'd want there to be a little bit more than just like, we heard yelling.
You want to talk about the final witness of the day?
Yes, let me flip over to that portion of my notes.
I misheard his last name, but I looked
Caterin?
Catron?
No, I think they pronounced it Caterin.
I thought they were pronouncing it Ketchum. But
No.
when I look it up on
It's Mitch Caterin.
When I look it up on the Carroll County Sheriff's website, it is spelled Catron.
So I wrote it phonetically based on what they were saying because they didn't spell it, and I wrote Caterin. I wrote Katterin, which is obviously wrong, but
I wrote Katchem ?
Sorry.
Well, this is a deputy with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. He's served with them for 12 years.
These two are us.
And
I don't know.
somebody who sort of called in pretty early
I don't
to
know. I
deal
think it
with
was
the
Caterin.
disappearance of these two kids. He worked the day shift, meaning his shift was like, I guess, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And towards the end of that, he got a call. He was in dispatch for Carroll County Sheriff's Office, and he was sent out to look into this situation involving Abby and Libby going missing.
And so he went out to the property belonging to a man named Brad Weber. Particularly, he went down a private drive owned by Brad Weber that I believe the defense refers to as an access road. And I think it's this access road or private drive that they might think that was the secret vehicle.
Secret vehicle used to abduct Abby and Libby in the defense's theory.
Yes. And so this is also not too far away from where the girls' bodies were ultimately discovered. So this sheriff's deputy went out there. He went to the door and he spoke with Brad Weber and McClellan, being, well, how did he seem? And he said he seemed normal. And so McClellan said, oh, so he wasn't covered in blood or sweat? And the guy said, no, he wasn't. And so Weber gave him permission to look around the area. And he looked around the area, did not see the bodies. And I would keep in mind that it was dark or getting dark and it was the woods. It's hard to see things. So the fact that he didn't see the bodies didn't mean they weren't there, just that he didn't see them.
Also, I mean, to be clear, this is a guy who's obviously looking for two lost girls, not a murder scene.
Yes. But I believe, though, the reason the defense wanted to emphasize this particular officer's testimony is because they want to argue that the girls' bodies were not there at the time.
Yes. That their contention is he didn't see him, they weren't there. McClellan's contention is he didn't see him, they were there. He just didn't see him.
And so, like in the cross-examination, Jennifer Roger, who handled the cross, she at this point is, of the three defense attorneys, I would argue that she's doing the best, most consistently.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they all do well at some things. I think cross-examination is something she's good at. No, but actually, no, like, okay. If you, in this trial and voir dire, I would say so. I know some people said to us that they didn't think her voir dire was as good, but I thought it was. So I guess agree to disagree.
Trained to notice all these details, aren't you?
Yeah, like
because she wants to build him up.
Yeah,
but she does get him to clearly state in her cross that he did not see any bodies. And McClellan, in his redirect, stressed that, well, just because he didn't see any bodies, that doesn't mean the bodies weren't there.
Yes, which seems reasonable. But they got to make their points. So and I thought she did a good job. She was building them up. She was kind of getting a lot of details in there. So I think she did the kind of like harsh tear someone down cross-examination with plants, and then she did more of the kind of like raise questions form of it with Deputy Caterin.
Is there anything else you want to say about his testimony?
Honestly, I don't. It was a lot of Caterin standing in front of this touch screen TV showing up stuff around maps and where he drove and the access road and where things were supposed to be. So it was a lot of pointing at a map, and it was interesting. Personally, I kind of felt like it boiled down for me. What boiled down for me was, well, okay, considering the lighting issues because it was getting dark, that throws a lot of this up for grabs. Now, the trees had no leaves, so that made it easier to see through the trees. So I think that is that's a point for the defense. The dark, though, is a point for the prosecution. So to me, it was just sort of like if someone's there and kind of giving a cursory glance and then leaves without seeing anything. To me, like, you have searchers in so many cases miss bodies that they're looking for and miss all sorts of things. So the fact that could happen here is just, I don't find surprising, and I don't really think that much of it. If the defense can really show, like, they were searching in this specific area and there was nothing there that day, then I would change my mind. I would think that was a pretty big deal. But beyond that, if it's just like vaguely, well, they were in this general area, then I don't know. You're in the dark and you're in the woods.
So then the jury was released and something happened. I don't want to speculate on what this is exactly out of respect for the people involved, but the defense said they wanted to submit a deposition from Anna Williams, who, of course, is Abby Williams' mother. They want to submit that as an offer of proof on a third-party perpetrator. And this is a deposition that Ms. Williams gave on August 30th of this year, which was after the 3-day hearing. And they told Judge Gold that this deposition, they did not have this evidence at the time of the hearing, and it is new evidence. So there is something in this deposition that they believe strengthens that case.
And I will say this in terms of, like, Richard Allen, didn't really talk about him much. I think at this first day of trial, he definitely seemed a lot more, how do I say this? Had a more normal affect than we've seen in a while. And I saw that there was an improvement at voir dire, but then, he was still doing his kind of strange staring at the crowd sort of routine. But in this situation, his back is facing to the gallery. I don't know what his expressions are from the perspective of the jury, but most of the time I couldn't really see his face that well. I mean, I don't know if his back was quite was his back completely to the gallery, or was it just only slightly?
Slightly.
So you could kind of see him, but he seemed more calm, relaxed. At one point I saw his stepfather give him a thumbs up. He seemed very happy about that. So he seemed a lot happier than normal. And by that, I mean, he's smiling, he's relaxed. He's not doing as many sort of nervous rocking that we've seen or other kind of, kind of at times, like, he glowers at his, or at least, like, has kind of a very intense stare. And so he seems like that's something that's not as much of a problem right now, which is going to be good, I think, in front of a jury. I think having that more relaxed demeanor, would be something that would be good, because then they're looking at him and they're saying, okay, he's just a normal guy. He's not, like, staring anyone down. So that's been something we've noticed from him. He still has his shaved head. How would you say he looks, like, physically, weight wise and stuff like that? Because that's been something that's come up a lot. He's obviously wearing day clothes. I think he was wearing kind of like a
He still has his
shirt.
glasses on his forehead.
He's still got the glasses on. He's never used them, but maybe he might need them in certain instances. I don't know. Or maybe we just didn't see him use them. I guess. But what do you think he looks like physically at this point?
He looks like a healthy man of his age.
He looks pretty normal to me. I don't think he's as heavy set necessarily as he was when he first went into prison rather. But I think he looks, in terms of weight, to me, he looks within the normal range, and I think he looks a lot more relaxed as we go into trial, and maybe that could be being in street clothes. He's seeing his family at these things. He's not shackled as much. He's not shackled in the presence of the jury. Obviously, that would be very prejudicial. So, it may make sense that all those things make him feel more relaxed. Was there anything else?
I'm done if you are.
All righty. Well, listen, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. Thanks for dealing with our rambling. We're very tired.
2 hours sleep.
And
no
Sounds like
food
us.
for like 2 hours ago.
Well, that was interesting. Finally, at the end there, when they were talking about the what the witnesses and stuff were saying and doing on the stand, that was very interesting.
Yeah, I was
And
glad
that's what we need to find. We need somebody who's going to be able to recap that for us.
And it can be those people. I do like some of the whenever Court TV puts out what happened in court that week,
Yeah.
sometimes that's really good. Hey, Pam Malone.
Yes.
I'm when they said that he was staring out into the audience or whatever, he's faking that. I think that. I feel that's how I feel. I feel like
All right.
he
Well,
is.
maybe he is. I just need the evidence to show that too, you know?
Some
Like,
kind of,
prove
yeah.
it. Please prove it.
Publicize his interrogations. You know, they're recorded. Any of that, just to see his
Yeah.
the way he's
Honestly,
acting.
any of that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mayberry.
It's
But
definitely this is not an easy thing to do when we're having to like piece it all together.
that's why I was like, about Delphi. I want
Yeah.
to so badly see it, and it's hard because it's not public,
Right. That is true.
and but we will continue this journey. Um,
Yeah, we'll
so
keep looking for stuff. If you guys
okay.
you know, if any of you have a link that helps us, you know, get to that and you want to share it with us, please do.
Yep.
We'll keep
Hit
looking
me.
as well.
Hit us,
Um
me, we need a Discord or email me, email.
yeah, email it to Randy. She's the one putting it together on her playlist. So
Well, yeah, I am. That's right.
but if you send it to me, I will send it to her too. I'll make sure she gets it. But I'll keep looking at the rest of this this podcast too and see if they have any more.
Well,
Like
that's what I
like
wondered if they did day 1, day 2, day 3, day
that's what I'm
4.
wondering too. I don't know. That was just sent to me, so I haven't looked, and I had to sign up for Spotify just to even listen to it. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay, British Chippy, and we'll have to put that down. Hidden crime. It's like being there. She gets most of everything written down. Good for her. And
Is
that
she
means
okay
that
if we
she's
use her
also,
stuff?
I don't know. Have to ask.
Hopefully she won't be upset about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be a good one.
Because that
We'll
means she's
definitely,
probably sleeping outside and all that.
I don't
Every
know.
lunch and then at the end of the day.
Nice.
I hear a weird noise. All right, y'all. We will be back at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we appreciate everybody that showed up.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yes. And we will see y'all tomorrow.
Bye
Bye, y'all.
everyone.